Chapter 1424. Unlike Shao Qin, Chu Yang was proficient in solar true fire, and he had been cultivating in the Solar Star Palace since he was young. Most of the martial techniques that Shao Chun practiced were related to the solar true flame. After advancing to martial emperor, his usage of the solar true flame advanced by leaps and bounds. However, in terms of sun real fire, not only was Chu Yang's sun real fire inferior to Shao Chen's, but the methods he used were also incomparable to Shao Chen's. Aside from the cyclic astral lord, it would not be an exaggeration to say that Shao Qin was the strongest cultivator of the solar true flame in the Kunlun realm. Caught off guard, the blood demon royal hall's Wang Feng got burned by Shao Chen's solar true flame. It would be hard for him not to die. Flames still burned on the ashes on the ground. One could see traces of blood being vaporized by the flames. His death was very unjust. He originally thought that he could trick Chu Yang, but who knew that he would be tricked by Chu Yang instead? Cleverness can be ruined by one's own cleverness. This was the current situation. Wang Feng, who had committed so many evil deeds in the Kunlun realm, died a worthy death. But in the eyes of his Tao protector, this was a gargantuan matter. He was completely stupefied. You actually killed His Highness. The blood demon sovereign will make you wish you were dead. The guardian shouted as he flew towards Chu Yang in a crazed manner. Hua! A figure blocked in front of Chu Yang. It was the old man from the Zodiac Hall. He steadily received this palm strike and forced Chu Yang back. The blood demon monarch isn't that capable. I, the Star Lord of Zodiac Hall, welcome the blood demon monarch at any time. The old man stood in front of Chu Chaoyin and said in an imposing manner. When the blood demon royal hall's Tao protector saw that this person's cultivation was similar to his, he immediately knew that there was no chance of killing Chu Yang, so he quickly retreated. A great battle was about to break out. In the sky, a dense mass of people rushed over with surging, killing intent. Dust churned on the ground, and a strong fighting spirit soared into the sky. The outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm prepared to capture the remnant troops of the 3 demon royal halls, who were at the end of their rope. Your Highnesses, we can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly. The demons of the demon royal halls surrounded the 2 crowned scions of the winged demon royal hall and the fire demon royal hall, protecting them. Seeing Wang Feng turn into ashes in the distance, the 2 who had recovered their vision felt fear in their hearts. Everyone says that we demons are vicious and merciless, cunning and ever-changing. The outstanding talents of this Kunlun realm are truly not inferior at all. Xian Yan rubbed his somewhat piercing eyes, still feeling some lingering fear. Yi Xian shook his head. This time I've completely failed. I shouldn't have been greedy. The 3 demon-crowned scions all had their own trump cards, so they did not have to worry about protecting themselves. Before he left, he wanted to do something big, but he was tricked instead. Sounds of fighting resounded. The demons in the outermost ring had already started fighting with the Kunlun realm cultivators. The huge disadvantage in numbers caused this group of demons to be utterly defeated, suffering heavy casualties. This was the result of the greater outstanding talents watching coldly from the side, not making a move. The phrase at the end of the road applied to the 3 demon royal halls. The world was like a game of chess, unfathomable. Back then, the 3 demon royal halls worked together to ambush and defeat the Water Moon Alliance. Now, the situation remained the same. It was just that they were the ones being ambushed. The 2 crowned scions watched helplessly as their subordinates were killed. They felt dissatisfied in their hearts, but they could not do anything about it. Let's go. This time, our 3 demon royal halls came to scout. The worst-case scenario was a complete wipeout. However, things went too smoothly at the start, so we got carried away, Xian Yan said with a sigh. Yi Xian nodded and said, Fortunately, we found the location of the evil shadow sword. We made up for our mistakes. After saying that a talisman appeared in each of the two's hands. The talismans gave off a bright light. After they activated them, a dazzling and complicated formation appeared under the two's feet. "Oh no, these two are leaving." And Juanshi said with a frown, these two had killed many outstanding talents in the Tianwu domain, even doing many overboard things. He was truly dissatisfied with just leaving like that. Shui Lingling was rather calm. As crowned scions of the Demon Royal Halls, they definitely have some trump cards for survival. If I'm not wrong, those should be astral talismans that can send them to the astral battlefield. The astral battlefield was now the main camp of the deep abyss demonic world in the Kunlun realm. Once they reached there, they would basically be safe. You want to leave? It's not that simple. Chu Yang seemed to have anticipated this. He leaped into the air and hovered in the air. Then he quickly formed hand seals. Great Sun's heavenly might seal. A bright golden light shot out from Chu Yang's body, and a piercing solar true flame burned all over his body. In an instant, his hair, clothes, and body all started burning. A bright sun appeared in the sky, shining down a dazzling light. The light was too bright, covering the radiance of the sun and scattering the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around. In the pitch-black universe, the boundless starry heavens and the thousands of stars looked like bright pearls. For a moment, everyone had an illusion. It was as if they could leap into the sky and pluck down the stars with their hands. Oh no! He locked down the starry heavens. It's over. Are we all going to die here? The two crowned scions were horrified to discover that their astral talismans were ineffective. Their surefire trump card was useless. How strong? How exactly does this Chu Yang cultivate? He is probably as strong as a sovereign martial emperor already. When several people saw this scene, they felt startled. They had long heard that the heavenly starry ocean's Chu Yang was ridiculously strong. The various holy scions of the heavenly starry ocean had all been convinced by him and were willing to follow his lead. Now that they saw it, it was indeed so. In the earlier scene, when Chu Yang killed Wang Feng, there was an element of trickery in it. However, this time he used his own strength to lock down this part of the starry heavens. There was no trickery at all. Capture them alive. Immediately, the crowd's morale soared. Several outstanding talents personally made a move, all for the sake of capturing these two crowned scions alive. Kassier! Kassier! Just at this moment, the sound of the night sky shattering came from the sky. A patch of dark clouds covered the sky and sun, blocking out all the starlight. Snowflakes fell to the ground, and the scorching temperature in the air quickly dropped. A figure arrived from beyond the sky, tearing through the dark clouds and flying towards the radiant Chu Yang amid the wind and snow. Flames condensed, and Chu Yang reverted to his original form. Before he could react, he clashed with this mysterious demon. Bang! 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 The two quickly exchanged moves. Every time they exchanged a move, a loud sound rang out in the surroundings. The shock waves blasted out huge pits in the vast ground, sending rocks flying into the air. The cultivators below turned chaotic as they quickly dodged. The mysterious demon attacked too quickly. The crowd could not help Chu Yang, only able to watch him fight this demon. With every exchange, Chu Yang moved back a step. After 10 moves, Chu Yang had already moved back 10 kilometers, his aura no longer at all. Solar true flame, blazing sun in the sky. Chu Yang roared ferociously. Motes of flames appeared in the surroundings and quickly gathered above his head. Whoosh! 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 In a moment, a resplendent sun appeared above Chu Yang's head, regaining his aura. However, good things did not last. The mysterious demon sent out a palm strike, and the wind and snow in the air gathered in it. In the blink of an eye, the sun formed by the palm strike shattered, turning into countless fireballs that fell to the ground. This palm strike knocked Chu Yang into the air, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. We are saved! The The Snow Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion is here. When Xian Yan and Yi Xian saw the white-clad person in the sky, their faces lit up with joy. Since the Snow Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion is here, the people of the other Demon Royal Halls should be here as well. A hidden murderous intent flashed in Xian Yan's eyes as he looked coldly at the surrounding cultivators. Indeed, it was as Xian Yan said. When the clouds parted, many demon race warships landed in various directions. Many demons flew out from the warships. These demons each guarded a direction, surrounding all the Kunlun realm cultivators. Retreat! Even Chu Yang had been defeated. Shui Lingling made a prompt decision and joined in Juanxi. Together with Juanxi, they led the Thunder and Lightning Palaces and the Haotian sect's disciples to the periphery. Situ Gang held up the ice sculpture with both hands as he followed at the back. The ice sculpture was heavy and cold, making Situ Gang feel miserable. He could not run faster, even if he wanted to. Whoosh! 14 demons descended from the sky, either riding ancient mutated beasts or war chariots as they landed beside Xian Yan and Yi Xian. The auras of these 14 demons were strong and unfathomable, far stronger than those of the 3 crowned scions of the Blood Demon Royal Hall, Winged Demon Royal Hall, and Fire Demon Royal Hall. Some of them were like the deep sea, horrifying and suffocating. As Xian Yan and Yi Xian stood among them, they trembled in fear. They were also crowned scions, but the 3 of them were far weaker than these 14 crowned scions. Chapter 1425. Apart from the succubus demon palace's highness, Yao Manlan, who had yet to arrive, the 18 demon palace's highness were all present. There were men and women with different temperaments. The only similarity was the purple mark between their eyebrows. Xian Yan was somewhat angry. He said in a deep voice, "We already sent out the news half a month ago. Why did you only come now?" The 14 crowned scions of the other demon royal halls remained silent for a moment, not saying anything. Instantly, Xian Yan and Yi Xian thought of a possibility. Anger immediately appeared on their faces. "Hee, even if I don't say the reason, you should be able to guess it. If you appear so early, the act will not be real," the Thunder Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion said with a teasing expression. Another person added, "Unfortunately, the deity Dao Union's people did not appear. Otherwise, we would have been able to catch them all in one fell swoop." You, Xian Yan and Xian Yu were enraged. They had been used as bait. "Speak less. Xian Yan, Yi Xian, the 2 of you have done a great service this time. You can tell me where the evil shadow sword is now, right?" The white-clad Snow Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion, Bai Lung, glared at the Thunder Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion. Xian Yan and Xian Yuan were dissatisfied, but in the Devil Realm, where the strong preyed on the weak, strength was the only rule. Right now he could only endure it. Only when he became stronger in the future could he truly vent his anger. "It's right under our feet." Xian Yan pointed at the ground below with a displeased expression. "Xiao!" Immediately, many pairs of eyes stared at their feet. It turned out that this was where the evil shadow sword was buried. Aside from Xian Yan, Yi Xian, and the foolish Iron Demon crowned scion, the other crowned scions were all contenders for the evil shadow sword. At this moment, when they heard that the evil shadow sword was hidden under their feet, they immediately became excited. There's no need to rush. Let's take a look at the situation before us first. How strong are the outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm? The Snow Demon Royal Halls, Bai Lung said indifferently. Although the Snow Demon Monarch did not rank high among the 18 demon monarchs, he was only a 9th Heaven Emperor Wu. However, Bai Lung was different. Among the 18 Devil Hall's crowned scions, his strength was firmly in the top 5, and his prestige was extremely high. Aside from the 2 mysterious crowned scions of the Earth Demon Hall and the demonic Sky Demon Hall, there are very few crowned scions who dared to fight with him. He had already proven his strength by defeating Chu Yang in 10 moves. That's fine as well. However, with such strength, there are not many people worthy of me making a move. the Thunder Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion said lazily as he casually sized up the fleeing, outstanding talents. The entire dragon burial mound was in chaos. The formations of the various outstanding talents had already been disrupted. Seeing that all the demons from the various demon halls had arrived, they all chose to make their breakthroughs nearby and leave first. The reason for this situation was because Chu Yang had been defeated too quickly. The panic he brought about affected the many outstanding talents, and no one stood out to unite them. In a situation where they didn't have the advantage in numbers, it became even more difficult for them to break out of the encirclement. Shui Lingling and Injuanqi's group were quite lucky. The disciples of the two factions had always been together. One was in charge of long-range attacks, and the other was in charge of close combat. Furthermore, there were two primes, Shui Lingling and Injuanqi. Their breakthroughs were extremely fast. They were like a flood, advancing ferociously. Without any obstruction, they arrived at the periphery of the 14 demon royal halls' encirclement. However, it was precisely because they were too sharp that they attracted the attention of the few demon-crowned scions in the center. The Thunder Demon Royal Halls, Lei Yun's eyes lit up. He asked casually, "Xianyan, who are the man and woman holding the bow and whip?" Interesting, they are no weaker than Chu Yang, whom Bai Lung dealt with earlier. One is Shui Lingling, and the other is Injuanqi. Both are disciples of primes and are very famous in the Tianwu domain, Xianyan answered honestly. With that said, Lei Yun became even more interested. He said, "Not bad. They should be able to hold their own against me." Bai Lung watched carefully. Defeating Chu Yang in a one-on-one battle is not much of an ability. Fighting one against two and still winning, that is true ability. Boom! After saying that, Lei Yin turned into a bolt of lightning, tearing through the sky and flashing away. Bai Lung smiled faintly, not minding at all. Following that, several more demon-crowned scions could no longer suppress the fighting spirit in their hearts. When they found an opponent that caught their eye, they charged over. Immediately, the various outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm found it even more difficult to break out of the encirclement. Shui Lingling led the Haotian sect disciples and Injuanqi's Thunder and Lightning Palace disciples. They did not lose many disciples before they broke through the final line of defense of the 14 demon royal halls. Just as the breakthrough was in sight, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed overhead. Lei Yun's figure blocked the way. Crown Scion Lei, the 4 Moon Demon Royal Hall protectors guarding this place immediately bowed in greeting. "Leave these two to me," Lei Yun said with a faint smile as he pointed to Shui Lingling and Injuanqi. The 4 Moon Demon Royal Hall protectors rejoiced in their hearts. This Shui Lingling and Injuanqi were very difficult to deal with. Even if the 4 of them worked together, they could only fight to a draw at best. With Lei Yun's help, it would be much easier for them to deal with the other cultivators of the Thunder and Lightning Palace and the Haotian sect. Yes. After saying that, Xiao Chen led the other demons to charge over. Lei Yun raised his hand to stop him. He looked at Shui Lingling and smiled. "I'll give the 2 of you a chance. If you can work together and defeat me, I'll let you go." And Juanqi and Shui Lingling exchanged glances. Then, they waved their hands to get their subordinates to stop. "I'll make a move first and test his limits," and Juanqi said, not daring to be careless. He could sense that this person's strength was extraordinary. Shui Lingling nodded in agreement. The true dragon lightning whip in Juanqi's hand moved like a phantom, extending infinitely as it lashed at Lei Yun. Rumble! Muffled thunder roared in the sky, causing the might of this whip to soar. By the time it arrived before Lei Yun, its might was already terrifyingly strong. Not bad. Your cultivation of the will of thunder has already reached the peak. Furthermore, you can use it skillfully. You have very high attainments in the technique of layering lightning. Just as the whip was about to reach him, Lei Yun still had the leisure to comment on it. He waited for the whip to reach him. When the whip flew over, an even more intense thunder roared behind Lei Yin, suppressing all the thunder that Njuanchi had triggered. Then, Lei Yin stretched out his hand and casually grabbed the true dragon lightning whip. Then he pulled, and Njuanchi's entire body flew into the air. How can this be? His cultivation is clearly the same as mine. Why is there such a huge difference? Njuanchi felt incredibly astonished. Lei Yin's cultivation was also that of a sixth heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. However, their strengths were on completely different levels. Bang! 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 Njuanchi was flung into the air. Then he crashed heavily into the ground 3 times and vomited a mouthful of blood. Let go! When Shui Lingling discovered that Njuanchi's lightning-attributed energy was completely suppressed and could not circulate, she quickly shot out an arrow. Lei Yin's figure flashed as he quickly dodged. He did not dare to casually receive this arrow shot by a transcendent divine weapon. Whoosh! 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 After dodging 3 arrows, Lei Yin knew that he was not a match for Shui Lingling in long-range combat. Only in close combat could he defeat his opponent quickly. After dodging the 3rd arrow, Lei Yin turned into a bolt of lightning and charged over in the blink of an eye. Shui Lingling's movement technique was no weaker than Lei Yin's. She moved quickly. Lei Yin smiled as he gave chase. The Emperor Yi's shooting sun, Bao, could also be used as a close combat weapon. Shui Lingling's close combat strength was extraordinary as well. Unfortunately, Lei Yin clearly suppressed her. What was even stranger was his movement technique. With every step Lei Yin took, crackling electric light would appear under his feet. While Shui Lingling was not paying attention, Lei Yin laid a lightning formation without her noticing. The instant the formation formed, a lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket suddenly shot out from the ground. Boom! It blasted Shui Lingling into the air. Lightning covered her body, crackling continuously. Whoosh! The true dragon lightning whip turned into a dragon and charged over. Njuanchi had caught his breath and charged over. Little fellow, you are still far from being able to play lightning with me. My will of thunder broke through long ago and formed the innate thunder crystal. Lei Yin smiled faintly. As he looked at the roaring true dragon lightning, he glared at it. Boundless thunder might burst out, frightening the true dragon lightning into trembling. With this glare, it retreated. Then the light vanished, and it turned back into the 9-segment lightning whip. Lei Yin's thunder Dao completely suppressed Njuanchi. Njuanchi fighting with him was equivalent to crippling half of his strength. Furthermore, Shui Lingling was not good at close combat. After exchanging a few moves, Lei Yin defeated the 2. They could not see any chance of victory. First senior sister, you 2 leave first. I'll delay him. Situgang raised the ice sculpture and roared. Then he tossed the ice sculpture at Lei Yin. 3 against 1? I don't mind. Haha, what lousy toy is this? Break for me. Lei Yin did not get angry at all. When he saw the ice sculpture flying over, he punched with electric light. A silent crash resounded. An entire ground trembled. This punch flickering with electric light did not shatter the ice sculpture. Instead, it activated the saber might in Xiao Chen's body instinctively. That blazing saber might automatically spread out while Xiao Chen was unconscious. Be it the Haotian sect cultivators or the demons, they all felt a terrifying aura and retreated. How heavy! How cold! What is this strange thing? The black cloth covering the ice sculpture fell off, and Lei Yin immediately shivered from the cold. He felt that he could not support the ice sculpture with one hand. The saber might that the ice sculpture gave off was as vast as the sea and as heavy as a chain of mountains. Lei Yin quickly switched to using 2 hands. However, he still could not support it. With a loud boom, the ice sculpture pressed him to the ground. When the many demon crown scions saw this scene from afar, they all guffawed. The Thunder demon-crowned scion, who ranked within the top 5 of the 18 demon-crowned scions, actually got pressed down by an ice sculpture. It truly lives up to being the body of an ancient powerhouse. To think that it can still display such might after death. Situ Gang's careless action suppressed a demon-crowned scion. He rejoiced in his heart as he quickly helped Shui Lingling up. As Shui Lingling watched Lei Yun struggle under the ice sculpture but could not get up, many thoughts flashed in her mind. In the end, rationality triumphed over impulse. The lives of sect disciples were more important than an ancient ice sculpture. Come, let's leave this place. After saying that, Xiao Chen and Injuanqi decided to break through this final line of defense first. Chapter 14:26. Without Lei Yun's obstruction, just the 4 protectors of the Moon Demon Royal Hall would not be able to stop Injuanqi and Shui Lingling, who were determined to break out. After all, not everyone could counter Injuanqi and Shui Lingling. When these two worked together, their true combat prowess could rival that of a demon-crowned scion. However, Injuanqi's will of thunder had not broken through yet, and Shui Lingling was too close. That was why they lost so quickly. It was not that the two were not strong enough. After fighting for a while, the disciples of the Haotian sect and the Thunder and Lightning Palace finally took the lead to charge out. Shui Lingling and Injuanqi heaved a sigh of relief. This time, it was all thanks to that ice sculpture. If not for that ancient powerhouse's corpse, it would be hard to say whether they could charge out or not. The combat prowess of the Thunder Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion was excessively horrifying. Just thinking about it made Injuanqi feel defeated. Situ Gang said cockily, "This time, you all have to thank me. If not for my sudden inspiration, how could everyone have escaped safely? What about that ice sculpture? That is a golden emperor's corpse from the peak of the martial epoch. If the demons snatch it away, we will have given them a great opportunity for nothing," Injuanqi said with a frown. Indeed, the ice sculpture was priceless. To them, it might even be as valuable as the demon sword. Only demons could use the demon sword. It was hard to say how useful it would be to the cultivators of the Kunlun realm. Situ Gang scratched his head and said, "I really never thought about that." Shui Lingling looked at Lei Yun, who was still being suppressed. Then she said, "How about this? Situ Gang and Injuanqi stay behind. The others return to the sect and report the situation here. Let's see if the 3 of us can find an opportunity to snatch back the ice sculpture." Injuanqi nodded and said, "That's not a bad idea. With the strength of the 3 of us, it will be easier for us to leave amid the chaos." The others accepted the orders and returned to their warships, heading for the Thunder and Lightning Palace and the Haotian sect. Right after this group of people left, Lei Yun, who had been struggling for a long time, shouted. The purple mark on Lei Yun's forehead flickered with light. As the boundless lightning descended, it ferociously tore away the ice sculpture. After all, Xiao Qin was in a deep slumber. Although his saber might was strong, there was no one to control it, so it could not truly suppress the thunderclouds. Lei Yun had been too careless. If he had used his full strength from the start, he would not have lost so much face. The ice sculpture shot out like a meteor due to the great force. Then it landed with a bang in the center of the dragon burial mound. Boom! A boundless saber intent spread out from the ice sculpture throne. A strong wind blew with the hum of a saber, kicking up a cloud of dust. In this chaotic dragon burial mound, everyone immediately felt this vast and horrifying saber intent. Many cultivators and demons were caught off guard by this saber intent radiation and were sent flying into the air. What was going on? In an instant, everyone stopped fighting. They were shocked by this shocking blade will. Xiao Qin squinted and looked at the center of the surging dust cloud. When the dust cloud scattered and the saber intent was gone, he could see clearly. Ice sculpture. Who is this? Why is it sealed in ice? Furthermore, it still has such a strong saber intent. I seem to have seen it before. Earlier, the Haotian Sek Situ gang carried it. They must have discovered it in the savage battlefield. Earlier, it seemed to have suppressed a crowned scion of the demon royal halls. Could it be that the one sealed in ice was a sovereign martial emperor at the peak of the martial epoch? The appearance of the dusty ice sculpture could not be seen. One could only vaguely make out a throne and the silhouette of a person in the thick ice sculpture. There was also the unchanging chill that made people feel the vicissitudes of time and distance. Even when a true expert was sealed in ice from the inside out, he would still have a strong aura. Without a doubt, Xiao Chun was such a person. Even through the unmelting ice, he could still feel the dazzling light. From the initial misunderstanding to now, everyone firmly believed in this ice sculpture. The sudden appearance of this ice sculpture attracted everyone's attention. The more they observed it, the more they could sense how extraordinary this ice sculpture was. Xue Lingling and Injuanqi weren't the only ones who had the same feeling. Even the crowned scions of the 18 demon halls, who had been mocking Lei Yin for being suppressed by the ice sculpture, could not help but reveal grave expressions. Bai Lung, you are an expert in the ice Tao. Can you release this kind of ice? Someone suddenly spoke from a black palanquin floating in the air. That was the most mysterious crowned scion of the 18 demon royal halls, the celestial demon royal hall. The snow demon royal halls, by Lung's gaze, had already been attracted to this ice sculpture long ago. When he heard the celestial demon royal hall's crowned scion's question, he shook his head and replied, "No, this is something that can only be obtained after one comprehended the ice domain. One has cultivated the ice domain for at least several hundred years. I don't think even the solar true fire can melt that kind of ice. My guess is correct. It should have been done by a senior of my Snow Devil clan during the ancient 100-clan war." Bai Lung analyzed truthfully. His previous guess was correct. It was just that he had a preconceived notion and treated this ice sculpture as an ancient object. Upon hearing Bai Lung's analysis, the gazes of the crowned scions of the various demon royal halls immediately turned fervent. They already felt that this ice sculpture was extraordinary in the first place. Bai Lung's words further verified their guess. However, this was actually not wrong. If they obtained Xiao Chen's physical body and the cycle throne, their value would not be lower than that of an ancient powerhouse. It might even be higher. Very well. No matter who it is, this ancient ice sculpture must be obtained by my demon race. Attack! In the black palanquin, the celestial demon royal hall's crowned scion gave off the air of a sovereign overlooking the world. With a few words, he determined the owner of this ice sculpture. Although a few people were not convinced if the 18 demon royal hall's crowned scions had to choose a leader, it had to be the celestial demon royal hall's crowned scion. Although there were a few people who were not convinced if the 18 demon crowned scions had to choose a leader, it would definitely be the celestial demon crowned scion. This is a senior of our Kunlun realm. We cannot let the demons humiliate him. At the crucial moment, Chu Yang stepped forward once more. Sima Lingxian, who was about to break out of the encirclement, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. When Sima Lingxian, who was about to break out of the encirclement, heard this, he could not help feeling his blood surge. Hearing those words, Zhang Xian's blood couldn't help but boil. The ancient ancestors had been dead for so many years. Not only were they not allowed to rest in peace, but they were even used by the demons to humiliate them. As a junior of the Kunlun realm, no one could accept this. Go back and help, Sima Lingxian said coldly. Then he made up his mind and charged back while holding his sword. A moment later, a few more people slaughtered their way back. They were all outstanding talents from various places, heavenly geniuses who rose up in this golden age. Although they were no match for the demon-crowned scions, they were not convinced. If they did not fight, they would be letting down their hot-bloodedness. The high-ranking crowned scions of the 18 demon royal halls watched coldly from the sidelines, not making a move. As the outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm and the demon-crowned scions fought over it, the mysterious ice sculpture soared up and down, flying everywhere, be it flames, saber energy, sword intent, palm wind, or lightning, they all landed on it. The ice seal didn't move at all, showing no signs of melting. In the midst of the intense battle, it didn't change at all. However, unintentionally it would bring out some strong saber might, startling the mysteriousness of this ice sculpture. He's here! In the black palanquin, the celestial demon-crowned scion suddenly opened his eyes and said something out of the blue. However, the crowned scions of the Thunder Demon Royal Hall, Snow Demon Royal Hall, Shadow Demon Royal Hall, Earth Demon Royal Hall, and the Moon Demon Royal Hall instantly understood who the celestial demon-crowned scion was referring to. Should we give up on this ice sculpture? The Snow Demon Royal Halls by Lung asked. The celestial demon-crowned scion's magnetic voice came from the palanquin. Although the demon sword is more precious, we cannot even snatch an ice sculpture. What qualifications do we have to snatch the evil shadow sword? If we cannot obtain what we want, then the Kunlun realm will be looking down on us. Haha, this crowned scion is filled with fighting spirit. I was just fretting about not having anyone to practice with. That's right. No matter what, we cannot tarnish the reputation of our demon royal halls. We must obtain the demon sword. All the more, we cannot give up on the ice sculpture. These high-ranking demon-crowned scions were all ambitious people. They were extremely proud and would not easily give up on the treasures they wanted. A divine light shone in the dark sky. Following that, a bright light erupted, illuminating the entire dragon burial mound. The divine sun commands for all demons to withdraw from the dragon burial mound. Anyone who disobeys will be killed without mercy. Fellow Taoists of the Kunlun realm, accept the medallion of my deity Dao Union, and you will obtain the divine sun's protection. A resonant voice resounded in the sky. Golden light shone down, and the medallions bestowed by the deity Dao Union fell like rain. Who is here? The divine sun Diwuk is here with the deity Dao Union. Chapter 14:27. The deity Dao Union was currently the strongest faction in the Kunlun realm. It gathered all the outstanding talents of the human race's 3 holy masters, the corpse race, the ghost race, and the deity race. The son of the 3 holy masters, the corpse race is Xingju, the ghost race is Xie Zishuan, the various sovereigns, Emperor Wu's personal disciples, and many other outstanding talents, all of them shining with glory. All of them could hold their own during the Golden Age. However, one person eclipsed the glory of these people in the deity Dao Union. Without a doubt, that person was Diwuk. During the Golden Age, Shaochen was the first outstanding talent to advance to martial emperor. Among the 9 colored emperors rode the 9,000 step and the thousands of mysterious phenomena. He was the strongest. The appearance of the deity Dao Union was both unexpected and reasonable. Logically speaking, if the demon sword did not appear, the deity Dao Union would not appear. However, the sudden appearance of the ice sculpture throne forced the deity Dao Union to appear in advance. If they did not, the people of the demonic world would snatch this throne away. The medallions of beneficence medallions fell like rain, shining with divine light, looking resplendent and dazzling. The deity Dao Union's warships flew towards the dragon burial mound in the sky. Every warship gave off a divine light. Resonant sagely music rang out in the surroundings, giving off a holy and solemn feeling. The deity Dao Union's warships gathered the elites of the deity race, the ghost race, the corpse race, and the human race. The many demon royal halls factions avoided the light, giving up on fighting the outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm. Then they gathered behind the various crowned scions. Overwhelming demonic flames surged up and down, blocking the divine light. Suddenly, 2 figures descended on an unremarkable mound in the distance. If Shaochen were here, He would not be unfamiliar with these two. One was a man and one was a woman. The woman was the Eros Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion, Yao Manlan, and the man was the Tianwu dynasty's descendant, Chu Chaoyin. When the two saw the deity Dao Union appear, they entered deep thought. Chu Chaoyin, what is the origin of this ice sculpture? To think that it actually forced the deity Dao Union out in advance, Yao Manlan said with a frown. Chu Chaoyin entered deep thought. It was like he wanted to see through that ice sculpture. However, that ice sculpture did not have any life force. Aside from the spreading saber might, no other perception could penetrate it. After a while, Chu Chaoyin said in a deep voice, "There's an 80 to 90% chance that it's really the golden arch body from the peak of the martial Tao." The peak of the martial Tao was a great era that was even more magnificent than our current golden age. The sovereign martial emperors of that era could rival primes now. A complete sovereign martial emperor's body is very valuable. If I remember correctly, there was an auction in the past where a piece of the hand bone of an ancient great emperor was sold for millions of origin essence stones. Think about how valuable a complete golden Thearcha's body is. When Yao Manlan heard this, she was a little surprised. Is it really that valuable? There are some values. There are all sorts of resources that cannot be fixed. If the emperor's body is complete, it will still retain some Tao rhythm. If I can comprehend some Tao from it, that would be incredible. Chu Chaoyin paused for a moment before continuing. Let's not talk about the monarch's body for now. Let's talk about the throne. In ancient times, etiquette was respected. Everything was done with courtesy before force. Regular martial emperors would not be able to travel on a throne. For this person to be able to sit on a throne, his status is definitely not simple. It is very possible, Yao Manlan asked out of curiosity. Very possible what? It is very possible that he was an overlord of a dynasty or an ancient sovereign. Chu Chaoyin thought of some things, and his voice suddenly turned somewhat gloomy. Back then, the first generation Tianwu emperor traveled on a 9-dragon throne. Yao Manlan did not notice the grief in Chu Chaoyin's words. A light flashed in her eyes as she said, "Then this ice sculpture. Don't even think about it. Even if you obtain it, you will not be able to melt the ice. Even if you melt the ice, you will not be qualified to sit on that throne. However, offering it to Leng Yu is not a bad idea." Chu Chaoyin smiled faintly, not understanding Yao Manlan's feelings at all. Yao Manlan felt somewhat depressed. This person before her completely ignored her charm. If it were anyone else, they would have immediately volunteered to help her obtain the ice sculpture the moment they heard Yao Manlan's intentions. That is our plan. The plan will not change. Let's just wait and see. I promised Leng Yu that I would help her obtain this demon sword. Naturally, I will help her obtain it, Chu Chaoyin said casually as though everything was within his control. Yao Manlan felt somewhat angry. The other party was always so confident, as though nothing could stump him. What if you can't get it? Haha. How can there be anything that is guaranteed in this world? Even if you try your best, there will be unexpected surprises. As long as I do my best, I believe that Leng Yu will not blame me. Chu Chaoyin shrugged and smiled faintly, rendering Yao Manlan speechless. At the same time, a group of companions from afar arrived beside Enju and Qi, Shui Lingling and the others. They were by from the Fiend Domain, the Peacock King's descendant, Kong Yuan, and the Fox King's disciple, Yuan Su. The three were covered in dust from rushing all the way, clearly fatigued. Elder sister Shui, something happened in the fiend race. We arrived late, Bai said apologetically. Shui Lingling smiled and said, "It's fine. I thought that you would not make it in time. Now that you are here, it's good timing. The fight between the deity Dao Union and the Demon Royal Halls is a good opportunity for us to take the evil shadow sword and the ice sculpture." Ice sculpture? What ice sculpture? Bai and the others asked, feeling suspicious. After hearing the explanation, Bai looked at the ice sculpture that everyone was fighting over. he whispered. "Why do I feel that this ice sculpture is somewhat familiar?" "That can't be. I obtained this in the savage battlefield's Death Sand Dune," Sitougang muttered. "If the ancients were familiar with it, then it would be strange." Bai smiled embarrassedly and said, "That might be a misperception." Due to the appearance of the deity Dao Union, the fight over the ice sculpture turned even more intense. The attacks of the demon-crowned scions turned even sharper. Sima Lingxian, Chu Yang, and the others gradually lost ground, on the verge of defeat. "Divine Son, you can make your move now. If you still do not, the ice sculpture will be snatched away." On a flagship surrounded by countless warships in the sky, a few deity race cultivators kept a close eye on the battle around the ice sculpture. On the vast deck of the warship, Diwuk sat on a throne. On his left and right, 12 watchers stood respectfully at the side. Right now, Diwuk appeared much more mature than when he first advanced to martial emperor. His aura was strong, and he already had the air of a deity sovereign on his face. As Shao Qin sat there quietly, the scions of the 3 holy masters casually stood below. Xingju and the other outstanding talents of the various races all felt a faint pressure. There's no rush. If we don't let these outstanding talents suffer a little, they will never understand their own strength. They will not join my deity Dao Union, unable to recognize who is the bearer of luck. Diwuk picked up a cup of fine wine and slowly drank, appearing relaxed. As Shao Qin raised his hand, there was a strange charm to it. One could vaguely see a divine light shining down. Right now, Diwuk's deity statues were already erected in the various palaces, second only to Emperor Forsaken. With a thought, Shao Qin could feel the boundless power of faith turning into a boundless sea for him to use. There was a huge difference between the deity race cultivators before they erected their deity statues and before. The difference in strength would be 10-fold, 100-fold, or even 1,000-fold. The scions of the 3 holy masters, Xingju, Xiezi Xuan, and the other peak outstanding talents of the various races that joined the deity Dao Union all felt this way. After the deity race erected their deity statues, they clearly felt their strength soar, their combat prowess soar. Although the deity statue was good, they did not know that once it was erected, it could no longer be removed. Why did they feel pressure and even fear before Diwuk? A large part of the reason had to do with the deity statue's creation. That's enough. Xiahou Ju, Feng Wuji, make your move. Diwuk put down his wine cup, and a maidservant with a graceful figure immediately came over, took the wine cup and left. Right after Shao Qin spoke, Sima Lingxian, Chu Yang, and the other outstanding talents all got knocked back at the same time. The crown scions of the Flower Demon Royal Hall, the Astral Demon Royal Hall, the Moon Demon Royal Hall, and the Beast Demon Royal Hall all revealed expressions of joy. They grabbed a corner of the ice sculpture and prepared to carry it back. 2 beams of divine light descended. Xiahou Ju and Feng Wuji, the holy scions of the Divine Martial Gate and the White Emperor City, appeared at the same time and blocked the 4 demons. Everyone felt surprised. The deity Dao Union only sent out 2 holy scions, and they wanted to block 4 demon-crowned scions? Chapter 1428. The 4 royal highnesses of the demon race, 3 men and 1 woman, each carried a corner of a throne, coldly staring at Xiahou Ju and Feng Wuji. Moon Demon Royal Hall, Star Demon Royal Hall, Beast Demon Royal Hall, and Flower Demon Royal Hall. Although these 4 Demon Royal Halls did not rank very high among the 18 Royal Halls, their strength was not something that Xianyan or Yi Xian could compare to. Seeing that the deity Dao Union sent only 2 people to block them, they revealed cold smiles on their faces. "Leave the ice sculptures and the 4 of you can go," Xiahou Ju said expressionlessly. The Beast Demon Hall's crown prince had a stocky build. He sneered, "What arrogance! Let me test you out." His figure was tall, and his face was covered in beast markings. When he was angry, he was like a ferocious beast roaring, looking exceptionally sinister. His figure flashed as he roared and threw a punch at Xiaoju. The punch transformed into the claw of a prehistoric giant beast. The clenched beast claw looked like a mountain, and an astonishing pressure spread out from the fist. The clouds trembled as if the sky was about to fall. Xiaoju coldly snorted as his aura burst forth. Against this misty pressure, a dull sound of impact came from the void. The sky shook and countless rocks soared into the air, covering the sky and sun. Just as his opponent's beastly fist was about to reach him, a wisp of golden flame ignited in the depths of Xiaoju's eyes. Boom! A statue of a deity suddenly rose up behind him, and a sonorous hymn resounded throughout heaven and earth. The deity's statue grew in the wind. In the blink of an eye, it reached a height of 3 kilometers. Xiaoju gently pointed at it, and the deity's statue gave off rings of light, looking like a divine wheel. This added a lot of divine might to Xiao Chen's finger. Bang! He shattered the gigantic prehistoric beast that the beast demon crowned scion had turned into. When the beast demon hall's crown prince landed on the ground, he staggered and nearly fell to the ground. Such powerful strength! For a moment, many martial artists had a whole new level of respect for Xiaoju, not daring to believe it. Shui Lingling said in a deep voice, "The celestial race's power of faith is really mysterious. This Xiaoju has already surpassed it by a lot." Xiaoju's talent was on par with hers. She could also get whatever resources he could get. The only thing she couldn't get was this statue of the god race. In a situation where the other party had one more condition, it was not difficult to understand that his strength surpassed hers. No wonder so many people are willing to join the deity Dao Union. Once the deity statue is erected, the power of faith will pour in endlessly. It would be hard for the deity Dao Union to not be strong. And Juanqi shook his head and sighed. He was also not inferior to Xiaoju. If he had the same conditions, he would definitely surpass Xiaoju. However, the Fox King's disciple said there are gains and losses. From the moment he cast the statue, he truly lost the edge in his heart. He will choose to submit to Diwuk for the rest of his life. It is impossible for someone who has lost their true self to become a supreme being. Let's see how he does in another 10 years. That's right, there would always be fairness between gains and losses. Furthermore, they will become increasingly dependent on the deity race. In the end, they will slowly be assimilated. Originally, they were thinking of using the deity race to strengthen themselves. In the end, they will realize that they are the ones being used as pawns by the deity race, unable to break free. Bai analyzed calmly. While Xiaoju spoke, Xiaoju fought increasingly valiantly, completely suppressing the Beast Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion. Even after the Beast Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion activated his beast transformation ability, he still could not gain the upper hand. It looked like his defeat was only a matter of time. However, Xiaoju still handled the situation with ease. The expressions of the other 3 Demon Royal Hall's crowned scions had long since changed from their initial disdain to grave. Whoosh! Suddenly, the 3 Demon Royal Hall's crowned scions roared and attacked at the same time. They ferociously pushed the ice sculpture towards Feng Wuji, who was watching at the side. At the same time, they soared up, preparing to surround and attack. The might of the ice sculpture was clear. Even the Thunder Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion was caught off guard and suppressed. If Feng Wuji had been careless, he would definitely have suffered a great loss. Fortunately, Feng Wuji did not get careless. When he saw the ice sculpture flying over, his expression turned grave. Deep Earth Black Tortoise. Feng Wuji shouted ferociously, and his body leaned forward. The image of the black tortoise, holy beast, appeared and firmly encased him. The ice sculpture crashed into the black tortoise image, forcing Feng Wuji to take 3 steps back. Then he sent out 3 palm strikes, forcefully pushing the ice sculpture back. As the ice sculpture flew over, it spun continuously. The horrifying saber might stirred up the wind and clouds. Saber winds buzzed in the air. The sharp saber intent chilled one's heart. Retreat! The 3 demon royal hall's crowned scions showed stunned expressions. They did not dare to clash head-on, so they quickly dodged. Ha ha ha! The demon royal hall's crowned scions are merely so. Fengwuji leaped into the air and raised the ice sculpture with one hand. Then he used the might of the ice sculpture to suppress the 3 demon royal hall's crowned scions. The scene immediately turned chaotic. However, it was clear that the 4 demon royal hall's crowned scions were at a disadvantage, which surpassed everyone's expectations. The deity Dao Union looks very powerful. Earlier, Sima Lingxian and the others could not defeat these 4. Now, they are able to suppress the demon royal hall's crowned scions with just 2. Xiao Hoju and Fengwuji are clearly improving faster than the other outstanding talents of the deity Dao Union. The deity Dao Union truly lives up to being the strongest faction in the Kunlun realm. Di Wuk, who was in the sky, had his eyes closed as he listened to these voices. He revealed a smile on his face. This was the effect he wanted. In the fight for the evil shadow sword, he wanted the entire world to know the strength of the deity Dao Union. At the place where the demons gathered, the group of demon royal hall's crowned scions frowned heavily. The strength of the deity Dao Union somewhat surpassed their expectations. They were much harder to deal with than they had imagined. Heavenly blood, divine finger. A huge scarlet finger with circles of divine markings on it descended from the sky and struck the beast demon-crowned scion's body, knocking him back to his original form and burying him deep into the ground. The beast demon-crowned scion's miserable cries rang out amid the boundless dust cloud, looking exceptionally miserable. He probably no longer had any combat prowess left. The other 3 demon-crowned scions were suppressed by Fengwuji's ice sculpture throne in the first place. When they saw Xiao Hoju coming over to help, they immediately panicked. Whoosh! At the crucial moment, a bolt of lightning flashed in the sky. The Thunder Demon Royal Halls, Lei Yun made his move. However, the moment this bolt of lightning appeared, a divine light blocked it. The ghost race's Xie Zishuan held up his sword and smiled. Your opponent is me. How dare you block my way? You are seeking death. Lei Yun snorted coldly and attacked at lightning speed. He was like a phantom, his movement technique moving like lightning as he closed in on Xie Zishuan. Lei Yun wanted to use the same method he used to defeat Shui Lingling to deal with Xie Zishuan. However, he underestimated Xie Zishuan's movement technique. The other party's movement technique was like a phantom, mysterious and unfathomable, no weaker than Lei Yun's. In a moment, the two exchanged more than 100 moves. However, neither could do anything to the other. Whoosh! Several more demon-crowned scions charged over from the Demon Royal Hall side. Di Wuk waved his hand, and the 12 keepers turned into divine lights and entered the battlefield. All of a sudden, the fight over the ice sculptures became even more chaotic. No one wanted to admit defeat. The demon-crowned scions entered the battle one after another. Aside from the Earth Demon Royal Halls and the Celestial Demon Royal Halls crowned scions, the other demon-crowned scions all made their moves. At some point in time, the land of the battle had been destroyed beyond recognition, leaving behind a huge, deep pit. No one noticed that the thousands of strands of black dragon chi in the dragon burial mound were slowly moving towards the battlefield, gathering there. Mysterious phenomena kept appearing in the chaotic battle. Snow, lightning, strong winds, sword chi, and all sorts of other things appeared. All sorts of howls rang out, deafening. Only the ice statue remained, rising and falling amidst all sorts of strange phenomena. Sometimes it landed on the ground, sometimes leaped into the air, and sometimes spun like the wind. How chaotic! I can't find an opportunity to make a move, Bai said with some frustration. Her instincts told her that the ice sculpture from the ancient era was very familiar. Unfortunately, the chaotic battle was getting more and more intense. Once she got caught up in it, the consequences would be dire. Diwuk, why the need to hide? Do you dare to fight me? Just at this moment, the second-ranked Earth Demon-crowned scion of the 18 Demon Royal Halls shouted coldly and directly challenged Diwuk, who was surrounded by layers of warships. Among the 18 Demon Royal Halls, only one person is qualified to fight me. Unfortunately, it is not you. However, if you want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wish. Chapter 1429. A throne descended from the divine ship, and Diwuk sat on it. He wore golden, embroidered divine robes with magnificent patterns. After not seeing him for many years, Diwuk already had the air of a major character. The moment he appeared, he attracted the attention of countless people. Why did this fellow not die on his emperor's road back then? Bai said through clenched teeth. Shui, Lingling, and Juanqi and the others thought the same. If Diwuk had died on that 9-colored emperor's road, would Shao Chen have had a different ending? However, there were no ifs in the world. Now, Diwuk had already risen up. His cultivation was stable, and he forged a deity statue. He practiced the various deity race secret techniques and followed the prescribed order, slowly learning how to become a deity sovereign. According to rumor, Emperor Forsaken intended for Diwuk to succeed the throne ahead of time, to become the new deity sovereign of the deity race. For some reason, Diwuk did not agree. However, no matter what, he was undoubtedly strong. Just by looking at the respect that Xiao Hoju, Feng Wuji, Xie Zishuan, and the other experts showed him, one could see a thing or two. The Earth Demon-crowned scion rode a ferocious beast of the demonic world. It looked like a tiger but was not. It had a huge body and a long tail like a snake. Black flames burned on its hooves. This beast was called the snake-tailed tiger, a famous ferocious beast of the demonic world. However, this snake-tailed tiger had clearly mutated into an even more ferocious mutated beast. Diwuk, don't overestimate yourself, the Earth Demon-crowned scion said sullenly as he rode the snake-tailed tiger. The Earth Demon-crowned scion rode on the snake-tailed tiger and spoke in a deep voice. His expression was as cold as a saber, and a sharp light gleamed in his eyes. Whoosh! The snake-tailed tiger soared into the sky, carrying the Earth Demon-crowned scion Ningfeng to face Diwuk in the air. The two happened to be below where the deity Dao Union and the 18 demon-crowned scions fought. Occasionally, all sorts of shock waves swept through the area. Horrifying sword chi, surging lightning, berserk snowstorms, all of them howled in the air. However, the two of them did not show the slightest bit of fear. They stopped at the place where the shock waves swept, as if they were taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. From time to time, she would wave her sleeves and disperse the shock waves that were flying over. Her movements were graceful and free. Their auras spread out invisibly, and the two of them began to face off against each other. The sky was filled with wind, snow, sword energy, and lightning. A series of violent explosions rang out, and they were forced out, forming a clear space. Diwuk's fingers slowly tapped on the armrest, emitting a tinkling sound. A smile appeared on his face. Facing the Earth Demon, Hall's Ning Feng's demonic might, he appeared somewhat indifferent. If you're not going to make a move, then I'll make a move. The standoff continued for a long time. Just as the Earth Demon Hall's crowned scion Ningfeng was doing his best to hold on, the Earth Demon Hall's crowned scion suddenly appeared. Diwuk suddenly stood up, and a 9-colored rainbow bridge appeared under his feet, diffraction from under the throne all the way to the front of the Earth Demon Hall. The instant the 9-colored rainbow bridge extended over, Diwuk's figure strangely appeared. He sent out a palm strike, sending out an overwhelming divine might that pressed over. Sagely music rang out in the sky. When Diwok's palm strike pressed down, it was like a heavenly deity was making a move. Everyone could vaguely see a huge palm image descending. Ning Fong snorted coldly, and the snake-tailed tiger he sat on roared ferociously. Overwhelming demonic might burst forth as he punched. The fist and palm met, and the huge palm image turned into a resplendent light, vanishing without a trace. Insignificant tricks. After succeeding in his first strike, Ning Fong prepared to continue and thoroughly crush Diwok's arrogance. Diwok smiled faintly and said, "Is that so? My palm technique is not even a tenth of my fist techniques. What are you so smug about?" Right after Diwok spoke, he ferociously clenched his open palm. The instant Xiao-Qin clenched his fist, the originally scattered divine light suddenly gathered into a huge, indomitable deity statue. The deity statue looked like Diwok himself. The blazing divine might immediately soared to the peak. When the fist light descended, Ning Fong could only brace himself to receive it. This punch immediately made Ning Fong feel the difference between him and Diwok. The other party's strength was simply too surging, like the sea, surging endlessly and unfathomably deep. Ha ha ha! Again, myriad heaven divine fist, distant legend. When Diwok saw that Ning Fong barely received his punch, he laughed loudly and sent out another myriad heaven divine fist. What was a legend? The ancient deity race's majestic deeds, which had been passed down for millions of years, were legends. Boom! The Earth Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion Ning Fong, who was already at a disadvantage, got knocked off the snake-tailed tiger. The radiant Diwok looked like a deity in high spirits. The snake-tailed tiger opened its huge jaws and bit at Diwok, moving as fast as lightning. Diwok's face sank, and he glared at the snake-tailed tiger. Invisible mental energy entered the mutated, snake-tailed tiger's mind. In merely an instant, this snake-tailed tiger became motionless. Diwok smiled coldly and kicked the snake-tailed tiger, causing blood to spurt out and explode. Diwok passed through the sky, full of blood, not giving the Earth Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion a chance to rage. His fists moved like lightning, punching out again and again. Ning Fong gritted his teeth and roared. Every time he received a punch, blood leaked out of the corner of his lips. However, he stubbornly endured, not retreating. Loud rumbles reverberated in the world, sounding ear-splitting. Space shattered and the sky turned dark. The sun, moon, and stars could be seen, looking resplendent and dazzling. After 100 punches, the Earth Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion vomited a mouthful of blood. He could no longer hold on and went flying back. The Earth Demon Royal Hall's crowned scion's right arm shattered. Half of his body was shattered by Diwok. Such a scene was very startling. No one expected Diwok to be so strong. He could even shatter the other party's emperor's body. However, as long as Emperor Wu's heart of an emperor did not shatter or his head explode, he would not die even if half his body was destroyed. However, he would not be able to recover his combat prowess in a short time. The divine son, Wu Kei, is unrivaled. Wu Kei's imposing figure stood in the air. Praises rang out from the many deity race warships. Countless people on the endless warships praised Wu Quebec. Their praises resounded in the world, reverberating endlessly. The light of the power of faith slowly entered Wu Kei's body, quickly replenishing his exhaustion in this battle. This is a little too scary. Chu Yang, Sima Lingxian, and the other outstanding talents were flabbergasted. After pouring all the accumulations of the deity race into one person, Diwok's potential was dug out too quickly, so fast that they could not keep up. Suddenly, Diwok descended and arrived at the center of the chaotic battle between the deity Dao Union and the Demon Royal Hall's crowned scions. Then, a strong divine Dao Emperor's might spread out, startling everyone. Then they retreated. The intense battle immediately stopped. The demon royal hall's people retreated to the back, and the deity Dao Union's people retreated behind Diwuk, coldly eyeing the other party. Young Master Celestial Demon, if you still do not show yourself, this ice sculpture will be mine. Diwuk stretched out his hand and beckoned. Then a suction pulled the ice sculpture over and grabbed a corner of it. However, just as Xiao Chen was about to pull it over, he suddenly felt a pulling force, and the ice sculpture stopped moving. Only then did Xiao Chen discover that at some point in time, a person had appeared on the other side, grabbing a corner of the ice sculpture as well. It was the celestial demon-crowned scion. No one saw how he came out of the black palanquin. It seemed like as long as he willed it, he could arrive just by raising his feet and landing on the ground. Boom! Diwuk's face sank. Suddenly, a golden divine light came from his body and soared into the clouds. A strong emperor's might surged out, catching everyone behind off guard and sending them flying. Sovereign Emperor's might. When the outstanding talents of the deity Dao Union's side landed, they felt incredibly shocked. It was Sovereign Emperor's might. This was the bona fide Sovereign Emperor's might that Diwuk gave off. He had been hiding his strength. No wonder he said that the Earth Demon-Crowned Scion was not worthy of fighting with him. Only the Celestial Demon-Crowned Scion was worthy of fighting with him. It turned out that Xiao Chen had broken through to the seventh heaven, Emperor Wu. A cold light flashed in the Celestial Demon-Crowned Scion's eyes. Black, demonic qi rose from his body. The Sovereign Emperor's might gathered the demonic qi and formed a black pillar of light soaring into the sky. As the two clashed with their Emperor's might, their hands did not stop moving. They both exerted force, trying to pull the ice sculpture over. Just as everyone was attracted by the two Sovereign Emperor's might, no one noticed that a tiny crack appeared in the unmelting ice sculpture. However, it was impossible for the Celestial Demon-Crowned Scion and Diwuk, who were very close, to not notice it. Their expressions changed at the same time. Everyone from the deity Dao Union, heed my command. The ice sculpture is about to melt. Attack and snatch the Golden Emperor's body. Do it. The two of them did not let go, but the same order was passed down. The moment this command rang out, the expressions of everyone in the Dragon Burial Mound changed drastically. The deity Dao Union and the Demon-Crowned Scions were the first to react. They soared into the air, preparing to snatch the ancient powerhouse's Golden Emperor's body the instant the ice sculpture melted. Immediately, both sides no longer dared to hold anything back. Strong auras caused winds to blow and clouds to churn and the sky to change color. Half of the sky was filled with flickering golden clouds, filled with many divine Dao Emperor's might. The other half was filled with black clouds, filled with surging demonic qi. Kassier, the ice sculpture, shattered faster and faster. In the end, it shattered with a loud bang. Chapter 1430. The instant the ice was about to melt, Xiao Chen opened his eyes. He had slept for a very long time, so much so that he felt somewhat dizzy. However, in the next moment, all of Xiao Chen's discomfort vanished. His body instinctively sensed danger, instantly entering a state of high tension. Without needing to think or do anything, the surging saber intent and 1,000 strands of primordial energy in Xiao Chen's body all burst out at this moment. Due to his instincts, the body's instincts for danger, the tens of thousands of times he had fought in his life, he unleashed all of his potential at this moment. Boom! The scattered ice immediately melted. The saber intent and 1,000 strands of primordial energy all over Xiao Chen's body burst out ferociously. It turned into a saber light as resplendent as the sun and soared into the clouds. In one breath, it broke through the barrier of the sky. Diwuk and the Celestial Demon-Crowned Scion, who stood closest to the front, could not understand what was happening at all. This strong saber intent immediately knocked them into the air. The horrifying saber intent continued to radiate out. The many demon-crowned scions, the Didi Dao Union's Xiao Ho Ju, Feng Wuji, the 12 keepers, and the other outstanding talents charging at Xiaoqin were all knocked into the air. Bang! 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 The many demon-crowned scions and outstanding talents were knocked into the air and vomited blood. When they landed, they blasted out huge pits. Di Wuk and the celestial demon-crowned scion gently drifted down and landed firmly. However, blood leaked out of a corner of their lips. The saber intent that burst out was too strong. Caught off guard, it instantly suppressed the two's auras. If not for the two being sovereign martial emperors, their injuries would have been even more severe than those outstanding talents. What's going on? Is the ancient powerhouse coming back to life? He truly lives up to being a powerhouse who could hold a throne during the peak of the martial epoch. Even after 1 million years, he can still knock away so many outstanding talents. How scary! I can't control my saber anymore. My saber is trembling. It is afraid. That piercing saber light dazzled everyone, preventing them from looking directly at it. However, the shock in their hearts made the many cultivators in the periphery unable to suppress their curiosity. They could not help squinting, wanting to see what kind of existence the ancient powerhouse in this saber light was. Kacha kacha! Just at this moment, the sabers in the hands of the bladesmen in the dragon burial mound shattered one by one. Many cultivators were shocked and pained. This was simply unimaginable. Such a scene left everyone dumbfounded. Even Di Wuk and the celestial demon young master couldn't help but retreat cautiously. Could it be a zombie? The celestial demon young master frowned and muttered to himself. He didn't know if this was possible. He had been sealed in ice for 1 million years without any contact with the outside world, and he was in this ominous place. However, if it really was a corpse transformation, then it would be very troublesome. It was unknown whether a supreme being at the peak of the martial Tao could suppress a corpse transformation. Once the zombies turned, everyone here would die. Di Wuk channeled his spiritual force into his eyes. His eyes burned like flames as he tried to see what kind of existence was inside this blade light. However, what Xiaoqin saw was a vast sea of saber intent. It was so painful. Di Wuk's eyes were bleeding. He had accidentally touched the core of the blade light. His eyes were immediately injured. What exactly is it? Even after 1 million years, it can still give off such a strong saber intent. What kind of horrifying existence was it when it was alive? When Di Wuk thought of this, he trembled in fear. Outside, Bai's pretty eyes stared at the saber light, unwilling to look away. Why does it feel so familiar? However, this is clearly a senior from 1 million years ago. How could I have been born 1 million years ago? Chu Chaoyan, what's going on? Far away, Yao Manlon asked Chu Chaoyan, who was beside her, caught off guard by this sudden turn of events. However, that Chu Chaoyan, who always gave her an answer, remained silent at this moment, as he could not figure it out either. The saber light slowly faded away. After unleashing his full power, using his primordial energy to detonate his saber intent, even Xiaoqin could not hold on for long. Xiaoqin did not know what happened. He did not even see clearly. He only felt an instinctive threat. If Xiaoqin did not use his full power, this threat would harm his life and he might even fall. Sensing that the fatal danger no longer existed, Xiaoqin scattered his saber intent. However, he did not let down his guard at all. The saber light is gone. The ancient sage is coming out. We will know soon whether he is dead or alive. This is really exciting. To think that I can see an ancient sage in my lifetime. However, when the saber light completely vanished, the cycle throne, the 7 divine weapons behind it, and Xiaoqin, who sat on it, revealed his true appearance. The shadowless saber sovereign. Everyone went crazy. Many of the cultivators here had seen the shadowless saber sovereign sitting on the throne before. Everyone recognized his appearance. The shadowless saber sovereign wore a mask and sat on a black throne with 7 divine weapons behind it. Only one resemblance was a coincidence. However, everything matched. Who else could it be but the shadowless saber sovereign? You, trying to play tricks on me. Are you trying to fool me? Wuk, who considered himself to be the bearer of luck, was so angry that his clone trembled. Unexpectedly, he got fooled by a living person. The demon-crowned scions and the deity Dao Union outstanding talents, who fought to the death for the ice sculpture throne, were all incredibly angry as well. Furthermore, the 18 demon-crowned scions had an irreconcilable grudge with the shadowless saber sovereign in the first place. The celestial demon-crowned scion did not say anything else, directly saying, "Kill him." Wuk also said coldly, "Of the people who fooled me, aside from a cripple, no one is alive. Kill him." Immediately, the demon-crowned scions and the deity Dao Union outstanding talents flew up at the same time. For the sake of a common goal, they actually worked together. However, while they were angry, Shao Chen was even more enraged. After sleeping for an unknown period of time, when Shao Chen woke up, he found himself surrounded and attacked for no reason. After much difficulty, Shao Chen managed to catch his breath. However, before he could say anything, a group of people charged over again. What was the meaning of this? Did they think that he was a pushover that anyone could bully as they pleased? That was impossible. The previous Blue Dragon King would not do that. All the more, the current shadowless saber sovereign would not. This is never-ending. On the throne, Shao Chen, who had not truly gotten angry for 3 years, got angry for the first time. He ferociously smacked the black dragon armrest with his right hand, and the world started trembling. The 7 divine weapons unsheathed at the same time and headed in 7 different directions, materializing the 7 moves of the flawless saber technique. Void-breaking stance. Pride burst forth with a 30-meter-long saber sovereign, looking as resplendent as the sun. It looked like it teleported and suddenly appeared before the flower demon-crowned scion. Before this demon-crowned scion could let out a startled cry, all her defenses were broken, and the saber blade stabbed into her chest. Boom! The saber blade knocked her back and pinned her to the ground. Dragon, subduing stance. Wrath flew out in rage. As the saber flew out, it carried the might of 1,000 dragons. Everywhere it passed, a sea of blood surged. After chopping down 3 keepers, its momentum did not decrease, pinning Xiao Ju to the ground. Falling moon stance. Saber light flickered, and a bright moon fell to the ground. Figures soared into the air, and the moon fell. This falling moon directly blasted away several deity Dao Union outstanding talents. Shao Chen executed the 7 moves of the flawless saber technique one by one. With every saber strike, there would be a startling, mysterious phenomenon and the fall of outstanding talents. When the 7 moves were over, Greed finished executing the heaven-swallowing stance. This saber swallowed up the attacks of the remaining outstanding talents and demon-crowned scions, drowning them in the flawless saber Dao and vanishing into nothing. It felt like a long time had passed, but in reality it had only been 2 or 3 breaths. The 7 divine weapons attacked at the same time, when Greed landed and pinned the star demon-crowned scion to the ground. Unable to move, no one else could be seen around Shao Chen. They had either fled in fright or were so injured that they could not get up, crying out in pain. The surroundings fell silent. Only the rustling of the wind could be heard in the vast dragon burial mound, as well as the lingering hum of the saber hidden in the wind. When everyone saw this scene, they were stupefied. The celestial demon-crowned scion and Wuk watched all this, their minds temporarily blank. I just woke up. Don't bother me again. Seated on the throne, Shao Chen rubbed his head. Even now, he still did not understand what happened. All he wanted was some peace and quiet. Shao Chen waved his hand, and the 7 divine weapons returned to their scabbards. The throne soared into the air, carrying him along. Chapter 1431. I just woke up. Don't bother me. When the many cultivators in the dragon burial mound heard this, they nearly vomited blood. When people just woke up, they were usually in a bad mood. But this time it was a little too bad. Of the demon-crowned scions, 5 were dead or alive, and 3 were severely injured and weak. Of the deity Dao Union's outstanding talents, 6 keepers had died. The others were all injured of various degrees. Of the people lying on the ground, which one was not a famous person, which one was not someone who could take charge of an area. However, the shadowless saber sovereign defeated all of them in 2 or 3 breaths. Furthermore, the shadowless saber sovereign defeated them all before their heads. The divine sun Diwuk and the celestial demon-crowned scion. After the matter was over, the shadowless saber sovereign still said such a thing. This was truly infuriating. You want to leave? It's not that simple. Diwuk snorted coldly and soared into the air, instantly catching up to Shao Qin. Without saying a word, he threw a punch. On the cycle throne, when Shao Qin saw Diwuk pouncing over, heavy hatred stirred in his heart for some reason. Even with Shao Qin's mental state, he could not suppress this hatred or control it. Shao Qin had never liked such a feeling. His rationality told him that before he could face Emperor Forsaken, no matter how much he hated this person, he could not kill him. However, he could not suppress the hatred in his heart. He had countless reasons to kill Diwuk. However, none of them could compare to Diwuk's obstruction on his emperor's road 5 years ago. If not for Shao Qin, why would so many people die for him? If not for the deity Dao Union interfering, why would his emperor's road be so difficult? If it were the deity Dao Union, why would he still be stuck in this knot in his heart? Shao Qin did not have much time to think. Diwuk was already charging over. With a thought, Shao Qin unsheathed pride. Dang! An intense collision sound rang out. Pride was blasted away by this punch and was sent flying. The throne moved back, and another 3 divine weapons unsheathed in the air, charging at Diwuk. In the sky, divine might filled the air and saber intent surged. Diwuk's divine might flickered with a golden light. As it gathered together, it became like the sea behind him, rising and falling without end. Under the huge waves, Shao Qin was like a lone boat. Under Diwuk's storm-like attacks, it seemed like he would be overturned at any time. When the spectating cultivators saw this scene, they were secretly astonished by Diwuk's strength. No one expected that Shao Qin could exchange so many moves with the shadowless saber sovereign and still hold the upper hand. After 1,000 moves, Diwuk's aura grew stronger and stronger. One punch after another, the divine weapons were sent flying by him. Saber intents shot out randomly, poking holes in the sky one after another. It took a long time for the holes to close up. Amazing, as expected of the divine son, Diwuk. He finally stood out at this critical moment. He does not leave a shadow, and the saber does not touch his hand. The shadowless saber sovereign is nearly a legend. I wonder if Diwuk can break this legend and push the shadowless saber sovereign off his divine pedestal. Speaking of which, why is the shadowless saber sovereign sealed in ice? I don't know about that. Perhaps the demons surrounded him. Rumor has it that 8th Heaven Demon Emperor Wu came to the dragon burial mound. Furthermore, they're not an ordinary 8th Heaven Demon Emperor Wu. They are all demon royal clan powerhouses. I heard that not long ago the shadowless saber sovereign killed a 7th Heaven Demon Emperor with 3 saber strikes and crippled 3 demon royal halls alone. He went overboard. If Diwuk defeats the shadowless saber sovereign as a 7th Heaven Demon Emperor Wu, he will be able to turn the tables. The discussions of the crowd filled the deity Dao Union's outstanding talents with anticipation. In this trip to the dragon burial mound, the deity Dao Union originally wanted to do something big and shock everyone, raising the prestige of the deity Dao Union to another level. Unexpectedly, they ran into this shadowless saber sovereign and ruined everything. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, Diwuk stepped forward. As long as he could kill the shadowless saber sovereign, he would be able to vent his frustrations. The celestial demon-crowned scion, who was preparing to attack the shadowless saber sovereign, pondered for a while when he saw the situation in the air. He exchanged glances with the other demon-crowned scions who could still fight. While everyone's attention was focused on this battle, he quietly retreated. Diwuk, are you really not going to let me go? Xiao Chen wanted to leave several times, but Diwuk stopped him. Now, Xiao Chen could not be bothered to suppress the rage in his heart. As he sat on the throne, his long hair fluttered about, revealing a murderous intent. Suddenly, a murderous intent appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. He was like an ancient ferocious beast, stunning Diwuk. At this moment, Diwuk held the upper hand and did not fear it at all. So what if I stop you? I already used all 7 of my killing moves. I don't believe that you still have the ability to fight me. You will be the first stepping stone for me, Diwuk, after I advance to Sovereign Martial Emperor. Look around. My deity Dao Union has 1,000 warships and more than 1,000 deities here. Even if I do not stop you, you will not be able to leave. Either submit to me, submit to the deity Dao Union, or become my stepping stone. Choose your own path. As Diwuk stood in the golden sea, rings of divine wheels appeared behind him. As he stood upright with his hands behind his back, he looked like a deity. Upon hearing this, Chu Chaoyin, who was extremely far away, could not help laughing. Feeling confused, Yao Manlon asked, Chu Chaoyin, what are you laughing at? Chu Chaoyin smiled faintly and said, There are always some people who are laughable and lamentable. If he were in another age, everything he did would not be wrong at all. Unfortunately, he is in the same age as this one. Who are you talking about? You will soon know who I am talking about. In the sky, when Xiao Qin heard what Chu Chaoyin said, his lips curled up. He could not help laughing as well, laughing from extreme rage. Enduring blindly, all Xiao Qin got in exchange was these words. He wanted to leave, but there would always be someone forcing him to make a move. Diwuk, I am not strong. I cannot compare to Emperor Forsaken or the holy masters of several holy lands. I am still slightly stronger than you. You chose your own path. Don't blame me. While on the cycle throne, Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and beckoned. Wrath of the 7 deadly sins landed in his hand with a clang. Clang! The 7 divine weapons turned into streaks of light and flew into the blade of wrath, one by one, fusing together. This was the first time Xiao Chen merged the 7 deadly sins and used them. The might of the divine weapons immediately soared into the sky. The 7 deadly sins, which were already infinitely close to transcendent divine weapons, now reached the might of a transcendent divine weapon. Transcendent divine weapon, is this your trump card? If you think that this is enough, then you are too naive. Diwuk smiled coldly, and the divine kingdom slowly emerged from the golden sea under his feet. Then it shrank continuously and condensed into a miniature castle that entered his hand. A primordial emperor treasure. Naive? You are overthinking. While holding the merged 7 deadly sins, Xiao Qin suddenly stood up from the cycle throne. The instant he stood up, the throne entered his black robes. 2 mutated black dragons were engraved on the throne's left and right sides. The 10 points of saber energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness exploded at the same time, producing a loud explosion. Xiao Chen's body released a light even more resplendent than the sun. Diwuk's boundless golden sea instantly scattered. When this saber strike merged 10 points of saber energy, a shadow flashed in the hearts of all the spectating cultivators, a shadow left behind by the saber light. Dang! The divine kingdom in Diwuk's hand blocked for a moment before getting knocked away. In the next moment, the saber broke through Diwuk's Wuk's 9 layers of defensive restrictions and landed on his divine robes. Xiao Chen did not know what the divine robes were made of, but they did not shatter. Instead, they formed a barrier that weakened Xiao Chen's strength. Even so, Wuk's internal organs shattered in an instant. Xiao Chen went flying, turning into a beam of light as he flew backward. Before everyone's eyes, Xiao Chen flew further and further away. Finally, he turned into a dot and vanished from sight, landing somewhere unknown. It seemed like he was no longer in the savage battlefield. Chapter 1432. After sending out this saber strike, Xiao Chen felt incredibly fatigued and fell backward. The cycle throne appeared in midair and caught him. The divine weapon split into 7 and stabbed into the back of the throne. Then, Xiao Chen closed his eyes and rested. Right now, saber energy was Xiao Chen's greatest trump card. With all 10 points of saber energy bursting out, it felt like his body was drained. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness was completely drained, and he felt extremely fatigued. Earlier, the flawless 7 saber technique drained most of the 1,000 strands of primordial energy. Now was the moment when Xiao Chen was at his most fatigued. The throne flew slowly, and no one dared to block it. Everyone shut up and said nothing. As they looked at this newly advanced saber sovereign, their gazes filled with reverence. That earlier saber strike was simply too horrifying. If not for the monarch divine robes that Wuk wore, he would have died for sure. Even the 9 restrictions and a primordial emperor treasure could not block it. One could easily imagine how mighty it was. The many warships of the deity Dao Union instantly vanished, all heading in the direction that Wuk flew in. The divine sun was the core of the deity Dao Union. If anything happened to him, there would be no need for the deity Dao Union to continue existing. However, Xiao Chen's earlier saber strike was extremely horrifying, overwhelming everyone present. No one knew where Wuk flew to. It would not be easy to find him in a short time. Chu Chaoyin, you knew this would happen long ago? Yao Manlon could not hide the shock in her eyes. This shadowless saber sovereign was simply ridiculously strong. The speed at which he rose was simply too fast. However, what shocked Yao Manlon even more was that Chu Chaoyin seemed to understand this shadowless saber sovereign very well. He was certain that the shadowless saber sovereign would be able to teach Wuk a lesson. Chu Chaoyin smiled and dodged the question. Stop staring at the saber sovereign. It is time for us to get down to business. Look in that direction. Everyone looked in the direction Chu Chaoyin pointed and saw the crowned scions of the 18 demon royal halls quickly forming hand seals under the cover of many demons. At this moment, everyone's gaze was focused on the shadowless saber sovereign. The deity Dao Union had retreated to search for Wuk, so no one noticed them. The celestial demon-crowned scion grasped this opportunity very well. Beside him, the thunder demon royal halls Lei Yin, the snow demon royal halls Bai Lung, and the earth demon royal halls Ning Feng quickly formed hand seals. Very few people did not notice that the black dragon chi in the sky was gathering in the direction of the demon dwellers. The demon royal hall's people's intentions were very clear. They wanted to use this opportunity to summon out the evil shadow sword. Then the celestial demon-crowned scion would make a move immediately to obtain the evil shadow sword. After the 4 demon-crowned scions formed their hand seals, strands of black dragon chi in the sky headed for the empty space the 4 surrounded. For a moment, tens of thousands of dragons soared into the sky, black shadows boundless, causing everyone to cry out in alarm. What's going on? Why is the dragon chi in the sky moving for no reason? The commotion was simply too great. This scene finally alerted everyone. However, it was already too late. From the moment Wuk and Xiao Chen started fighting, the celestial demon-crowned scion decisively grabbed hold of this opportunity. While everyone was distracted by the battle between the shadowless saber sovereign and Wuk, he started laying out his plans. He had waited for this moment for too long. Boom! A black demon sword broke out of the ground where the 10,000 dragons soared into the ground. Immediately, a monstrous demonic might was released from the sword. The sky and the ground turned dark. The evil shadow sword. At this moment, everyone knew what happened. It was the evil shadow sword. Only now did someone startle awake from a dream. Too many things happened in this dragon burial mound. First, it destroyed the 3 demon royal halls. Then, the Tenchi demon royal halls appeared at the same time. Then the ice sculpture appeared. In the end, the ice sculpture turned into the shadowless saber sovereign. Then, the shadowless saber sovereign fought many battles, dazzling everyone and overwhelming them. Some even forgot their true purpose in coming to this dragon burial mound. Damn it! No wonder that group of demons never left the place where the 3 demon royal halls originally stood. Many people, like Chu Yang and the other outstanding talents who had thoughts about the demon sword, felt regret. However, they could only watch as the celestial demon-crowned scion soared into the sky together with that demon sword. It looked like the celestial demon-crowned scion was about to become his. Shao Qin, who had already flown to the edge of the dragon burial mound, was startled awake by the demonic qi filling the air. When he saw this scene, he seemed to understand something. He muttered to himself, "This celestial demon-crowned scion, what a great scheme. Something's not right." Suddenly, Shao Qin discovered something off. There seemed to be a figure hidden in the clouds where the demon sword soared into the sky. That figure seemed to have anticipated that the demon's sword would appear and had been guarding this place in advance. If not for Shao Qin's strong spiritual sense accidentally sweeping that spot, he would not have discovered it. Immediately, Shao Qin, who was preparing to leave, thought to himself, who is so bold? Who dares to play such tricks under the nose of the celestial demon-crowned scion? Shao Qin was too far away, and there was no chance of snatching this demon sword. However, that did not stop him from watching a great show. The demon sword soared into the sky extremely quickly. Even the celestial demon-crowned scion, who was the first to fly out, could not catch up in a short time if he moved at full speed. However, the outstanding talents in the surroundings only moved now. They were still very far away from that demon sword. It was clear that this demon sword belonged to the celestial demon-crowned scion. Boom! Pooh! The demon's sword pierced through the thick black clouds and slowed down. When the celestial demon-crowned scion saw this scene, joy appeared on his face. He pushed off the air and accelerated again. The instant the celestial demon-crowned scion pierced through the black clouds, the scene before him so frustrating that he nearly vomited blood. He saw Chu Chaoyin standing in the clouds. The evil shadow sword stuck close to his body as it continued to fly up. Just as the evil shadow sword was about to pass Chu Chaoyin, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the sword's hilt. That posture looked like the evil shadow sword flew into Chu Chaoyin's hand on its own. With a flip of his left hand, a sword box appeared. With practiced movements, Chu Chaoyin nimbly placed the evil shadow sword, which was struggling intensely, into that mysterious sword box. Immediately, the overwhelming demonic might and icy sword intent of the evil shadow sword were completely isolated. Chu Chaoyin's actions were as smooth as flowing water. It was like he had practiced this countless times, waiting for this moment. If an outsider were here, they would not doubt that this sword was Chu Chaoyin's. After doing all this, Chu Chaoyin raised his head and saw the fuming celestial demon-crowned scion. Shock appeared on the celestial demon-crowned scion's face as he asked incredulously, "Brother celestial demon, what are you doing here?" "What am I doing here? What am I doing here?" The celestial demon-crowned scion, who was already close to going crazy from anger, got careless and his chi and blood surged. He could no longer suppress the internal injuries he suffered earlier, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. However, he was so angry that he vomited blood. Blood flew out like swords. Chu Chaoyin frowned and used the sword box to block his face. Blood immediately stained the sword box. After vomiting a mouthful of blood, the celestial demon-crowned scion felt much better. He shouted, "Chu Chaoyin, I should be the one asking you that. What do you mean by what am I doing here?" "What are you doing here?" Chu Chaoyin smiled and patted the sword box. "I came to retrieve my family sword. Look, my luck is pretty good. It was buried underground for tens of thousands of years, and I actually managed to find it. It looks like my grandfather's grandfather did not lie to me. Your family's sword." The celestial demon-crowned scion guffawed and said, "Chu Chaoyin, I think you must be tired of living. How dare you snatch the demon's sword? Even if you are the special envoy of the Dark Church, the Dark Church's churchmaster will not be able to save you if the 18 demon monarchs condemn you." Chu Chaoyin said extremely seriously, "You are wrong. I only took my family heirloom. From the start to the end, I did not participate in the fight for the demon sword." In the end, the celestial demon-crowned scion obtained the evil shadow sword. "Congratulations." "What does that mean?" The celestial demon-crowned scion's mind was filled with question marks. The other party clearly obtained the sword. Why did he say that I obtained it? Just as the celestial demon-crowned scion felt confused, the carefree and smiling, seemingly harmless Chu Chaoyin suddenly attacked. His palm wind was like thunder, and his body was like lightning as he landed a palm strike on the celestial demon-crowned scion's chest. The celestial demon-crowned scion's body quickly pierced through the black clouds and flew down. The demonic clouds in the sky gathered at his chest, its might overwhelming. The mysterious phenomenon was startling. "We obtained it. This is the mysterious phenomenon of the demon's sword recognizing a master." The crowned scions of the 18 demon royal halls and the group of cultivators all smiled in wild joy. Although there were many twists and turns along the way, with all sorts of incidents happening, they still managed to obtain the most important evil shadow sword. Chapter 1433. Everyone from the Devil Hall laughed. Only the celestial devil young lord who was in midair was crying. He took out an item from his bosom. It was a small sword. The body of the sword was engraved with a mysterious formation. It was very exquisite, but it was just an ordinary small sword. In the demon world, it was known as the demon guiding sword. It was specially used to absorb demon chi. This demon guiding sword had clearly been specially refined. The effect of absorbing and restraining demonic chi was startling. It sucked in all the demonic chi in the sky. The celestial demon-crowned scion, who was holding the demon guiding sword, had an exceptionally sullen expression. He finally understood why Chu Chaoyin said that he had obtained the demon sword. This was akin to making him a scapegoat. Seeing such a huge phenomenon, he was also the person closest to the demon sword. Everyone probably believed that he, the celestial demon-crowned scion, had taken the evil shadow sword. Even if they wanted to, they would not be able to retort. Looking up at the sky, Chu Chaoyin was nowhere to be seen. He had already disappeared without a trace. Damn it! The celestial demon young master held the demon guiding sword as his fists trembled. This was the first time he had been played so badly. After a while, he calmed down and said coldly, "Chu Chaoyin, I will definitely settle this score with you." The debt had to be settled, but not now. At this moment, everyone thought that he was the one who had taken the demon sword. The various cultivators of the Kunlun realm were currently chasing after him. Soon, the people of the deity Dao Union would arrive as well. If Xiao Chan wanted to leave, the further he went, the better. The people of the demon royal halls would not believe that he did not obtain the evil shadow sword. All the more, the people of the Kunlun realm would not. His explanation was of no use at all. Chu Chaoyin's move was too brilliant. He casually snatched the demon sword and then left silently, as if he had never existed. He placed all the pressure on the celestial demon young master. In a few flashes, the celestial demon-crowned scion returned to the place where the many demon-crowned scions were gathered. "How is it? Did you obtain the evil shadow sword?" The many demon-crowned scions asked in anticipation. The celestial demon young master said with a sullen face, "If I say that I didn't get it, would you believe me?" "How can that be? We saw you and the evil shadow sword pass through the clouds one after another. When you came down, the demonic clouds entered your body. Isn't that the mysterious phenomenon of the evil shadow sword recognizing a master? Young master, celestial demon, are you trying to go back on your word? We can even let you have the evil shadow sword. However, the benefits that you promised are far inferior to the evil shadow sword." The many demon-crowned scions clearly did not believe him. They even felt that the other party was trying to go back on his promise. The celestial demon young master smiled bitterly in his heart. He seemed to be the scapegoat for sure, but he had to tell the truth. Not only had Xiao Qin been angered to the point of vomiting blood by Chu Chaoyan, but he had also snatched away the evil shadow sword. He really could not bring himself to say it. It wasn't just because of his pride. More importantly, it was a huge blow to his prestige. The celestial demon young master did his best to squeeze out a smile. "I'm just joking. I've already obtained the demon sword. Let's prepare to retreat and return to the astral battlefield first. When we arrive at the devil world, I will fulfill all the promises I made to you." Congratulations! The might of the evil shadow sword is still somewhat lacking compared to the inheritance of a ruler weapon. With the evil shadow sword, when young master, celestial demon young master ascends to the position of demon monarch in the future, unifying our 18 demonic worlds will be even smoother. The various congratulatory words were like sharp swords stabbing into the celestial demon young master's heart. Despite the incredible pain, he had to squeeze out a smile. Only the celestial demon young master understood the pain. After chatting for a while, the demon-crowned scions started to gather the factions of their respective demon royal halls, preparing to leave the Kunlun realm. Since the demon-crowned scions rushed to the Kunlun realm, they naturally thought of a way to retreat. The demon-crowned scions attacked at the same time, striking the ground under their feet. The ground instantly shattered, revealing a huge, deep pit with the corpse of an ancient demon monarch standing in it. The corpse had already rotted long ago, leaving only a pile of bones. Demonic chi mixed with the corpse, producing an unpleasant stench. "Sorry for the offense." The celestial demon young master bowed slightly, and a talisman appeared in his hand. This was the extremely precious corpse guiding talisman. As long as the talisman was shot into the corpse, it could temporarily control the corpse, allowing it to erupt with 1/10 of its combat prowess. Even if the ancient demon monarch only had 1/10 of its strength, it would be enough to create enough chaos for them to leave easily. "Go." The demon monarch's skeleton expanded in the air and became as large as a small mountain, blocking the many Kunlun realm cultivators chasing after the demon royal halls. Many demon hall demons took the opportunity to board the warships and soar into the clouds, flying towards the outer realm. When they reached the starry sky, there was someone to receive them. It was as if they were safe. It was a perfect plan. Unfortunately, he did not obtain the evil shadow sword. "Elder sister Lingling, did you see the shadowless saber sovereign? Where did he go?" Bai had been paying attention to the shadowless saber sovereign, ignoring the chaotic situation. Shui Lingling watched as the people of the demon hall calmly retreated. Her heart was burning with anxiety. When Xiao Chun heard Bai's question, he quickly looked around. However, he discovered that the shadowless saber sovereign was long gone. "Let's leave this place first. The demon monarch's corpse will explode soon. If we don't leave now, we will all be buried here." And Juanqi said somewhat anxiously as he watched the demon monarch corpse in the distance swell up even more. Without any hesitation, he urged the others to leave. This battle, started by the evil shadow sword, finally came to an end, allowing everyone to broaden their horizons. Nearly all the famous, outstanding talents of this golden age were here. The competition between the Kunlun realm's outstanding talents and the demonic world's demons was more or less equal. No one gained much of an advantage. However, when the later generations mentioned this matter that was destined to be passed down through the ages, the one they talked about the most would not be Diwuk or the celestial demon-crowned Scion. It would be the shadowless Saber Sovereign. After this battle, no one would doubt the shadowless Saber Sovereign's possession of the Saber Sovereign Medallion. The title of Saber Sovereign was well-deserved. Wu Xiaotian was not wrong to hand over the Saber Sovereign Medallion. But what no one knew was that in this gathering of wind and clouds, there was a person who came and left quietly. This person angered the celestial demon-crowned Scion to the point of vomiting blood. This person easily snatched away the evil shadow sword, becoming the biggest winner. Compared to the shadowless Saber Sovereign, this person was like a shadow unknown to others. At this moment, this person was calmly rushing to the rendezvous point with Yao Manlan while carrying the sword box. Seeing the sword box in Xiao Chen's hand, Yao Manlan asked in disbelief, "You really obtained the evil shadow sword?" Chu Chaoyin smiled faintly and opened a small opening in the sword box, revealing half of the evil shadow sword. Then he quickly closed it. Yao Manlan revealed an expression of wild joy. She stretched out her hand, wanting to take the sword box. Chu Chaoyin gently put it away and carried it on his back. "This is for Lung Yu, not for you. If you don't want to give it to me, then so be it. Even if you give it to me, it would be a gift to Master," Yao Manlan said unhappily. However, even when she was angry, her face was still very alluring, causing one to have wild thoughts. However, Chu Chaoyin was not interested in her at all. He was not tempted by her ever-present charm at all. However, suddenly his expression changed slightly, not giving Yao Manlan any time to think. After dragging her for 1,000 meters, he finally turned around. "What?" Yao Manlan felt dissatisfied. However, when she turned her head and saw the scene in front, she was so frightened that she retreated another 1,000 meters. At some point in time, a throne had landed in front. A person sat on the throne, holding a sheathed saber in his right hand as he stood upright on the ground. Although this person sat there casually, he could not hide the air of kingship he exuded. As Xiao Chen's long hair fluttered, he let his aura drift casually in this strong wind. Clang! 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 The indistinct clanging of sabers and swords clashing in the air rang out. It was like someone was moving around in the air. Under such an aura, Yao Manlan found it extremely difficult to breathe, so she moved back again. Her heart pounded heavily. Why did the shadowless Saber Sovereign chase after her at this moment? The main reason was because of the earlier scene of Xiao Chen defeating the many outstanding talents of the deity Dao Union and the demon royal halls with a wave of his hand. That was too great a shadow in her heart. Otherwise, she would not be so afraid of the shadowless Saber Sovereign. Yao Manlan thought of something, and her expression changed slightly. Could he be here for the evil shadow sword? If that were true, would Chu Chaoyin be a match for the shadowless Saber Sovereign? Chapter 1434. Good move. Not only did you obtain the evil shadow sword, but you also made the celestial demon-crowned Scion a scapegoat. Chu Chaoyin, your style of doing things has not changed at all. Xiao Qin said softly with a faint smile under the mask. When Xiao Qin collected the 7 thrones and the cycle first appeared, he seemed to have seen his fate. At the end of his fate, he seemed to have an unavoidable battle with Chu Chaoyin. The other party stood in the sky and controlled the 3,000 lower realms. When the sword swept through the air, he said that 10,000 years was a cycle. Chu Chaoyin smiled and said, "I think so. There is no need for you to be alarmed. Why did you chase after me? Are you here to snatch the evil shadow sword?" Xiao Qin shook his head and said, "I am not interested in the evil shadow sword. The symbolic meaning of this sword is greater than its actual meaning. I believe that you should not be interested in it, either. Why do you want to get involved?" "Not interested." Ha! It looks like I made this trip for nothing. In that case, I'll be leaving. This is the Kunlun realm's interior. I really do not have the time to chat with you. When Chu Chaoyun heard that, he smiled faintly and turned to leave. Clang! Pride flew out of its scabbard and landed in front of Chu Chaoyun after he turned around, blocking his path. Why the rush? I came here only to ask you one thing. Why did you go through all this trouble, insisting on fighting me? You said that 10,000 years is a cycle. However, what does the grudges from 10,000 years ago have to do with us? Why do you have to live so bitterly? Shao Qin asked unhurriedly from the cycle throne. Then his expression suddenly turned grave. When Chu Chaoyun heard that, his expression changed slightly. His previously calm expression wavered somewhat. When did I say that to you? 10,000 years is a cycle. How did you know that? Who told you that you went to the Blue Dragon Palace? That's not right. If you dare to go to the Blue Dragon Palace now, any one of the primes can smack you to death. Chu Chaoyun muttered to himself. After analyzing the situation for a while, he still could not figure it out, filled with doubts. You did indeed tell me that. However, it is not now but in the future. By coincidence, I managed to catch a glimpse of my fate in the Kunlun realm. At the end of my fate, you personally told me that. Shao Qin told the other party the truth, not intending to hide anything. In the distance, Yao Manlon pricked up her ears, but she was confused by what she heard, unable to understand what was going on. However, there were also those who understood. It turned out that this Chu Chaoyun and the mysterious shadowless Saber Sovereign were old acquaintances. Furthermore, the shadowless Saber Sovereign was not here for the evil shadow sword. With this, Shao Qin heaved a sigh of relief. When Chu Chaoyun heard the word fate, he felt somewhat disappointed and frustrated. He smiled bitterly and said, Fate, that's right. This is our fate. It was already decided 10,000 years ago. Our goal has always been the same. We've been waiting for an opportunity that only comes once every 10,000 years. However, in the end, only one person will be able to obtain this opportunity. Shao Qin said softly, I never believe in fate. If possible, I am willing to give this opportunity to you. Chu Chaoyun laughed and said, Give it to me? If you give it to me, where are you going to find Lu Ruyue? You cannot give up this opportunity. Cultivate well and get out of this war chariot as soon as possible. Otherwise, you might not even be able to withstand a single sword strike from me. As soon as he finished speaking, a pupil appeared in the depths of Chu Chaoyun's eyes. A slit opened in his dual heart pupils, and a strand of pure primal chaos aura spread out, lingering in his eyes. It manifested a boundless universe and a myriad of stars, flickering and extinguishing. Dang! Pride, which was stuck behind Shao Qin, seemed to have received a heavy blow. After a dull thud, it flew out and landed behind the cycle throne. You've consumed too much energy, and your combat power is less than 50%. I won't fight you. The next time we meet, I will take away the origin of the Blue Dragon Palace's heavenly fire. Until next time. After knocking away Pride, who was blocking his way, Chu Chaoyun landed beside Yao Manlon and quickly carried her away. As Shao Chun watched Chu Chaoyun leave, he entered deep thought. Chu Chaoyun had already told him what that opportunity was. That opportunity was to leave this abandoned land and pursue a higher path of the martial Tao. Was it really that difficult to leave the abandoned land? However, this was not the time to think about this. Based on the strength that Chu Chaoyun displayed earlier, he had already comprehended the state of primal chaos and could already use it. Shao Chun needed to find the cycle arts quickly, merge the 7 states, and comprehend the state of cycle. Otherwise, he might not be able to block Chu Chaoyun. I need to find a place to recover my strength first. The savage battlefield was vast and boundless. Finding a hidden place was not difficult. After a while, Shao Chen landed in a spacious valley. He took out 2 essence stones from the war chariot and closed his eyes to circulate the purple thunder divine incantation. When Xiao Chen finished absorbing the 2 essence stones, his primordial energy had nearly recovered to its peak. However, the mental energy in his sea of consciousness had not completely recovered yet. Opening his eyes, Xiao Chen opened his palm, and the heavenly snow, divine flame, slowly surged out. There was a painting in his palm. The beautiful mountains and rivers was a shrunken space. Snowflakes drifted down between his palm, and a cold wind blew. The snow-white flame looked calm and peaceful. Xiao Chen revealed a smile on his face. This time, when the heavenly snow divine flame melted the cold qi, it unexpectedly broke through and advanced to rank 4. Flames were split into 9 grades. The higher the grade of a flame, the harder it was to raise its grade. The primal chaos level heavenly snow divine flame was even harder to raise its grade. Having such a fortuitous encounter was truly delightful. Aside from this, Xiao Chen also discovered something else. The 1,000 strands of primordial energy in his heart of an emperor had undergone the cleansing of the ice. The density of the primordial energy vaguely increased significantly. The 1,000 strands of primordial energy were originally just a long, blurry line. Now, they took the vague form of a dragon. It seemed like if Xiao Chen continued refining them, these 1,000 strands of primordial energy could all take the form of a dragon. Primordial energy turning into a dragon was something only a prime could do. However, a prime's primordial energy had at least 10,000 strands. In comparison, Xiao Chen was far from comparable. Even if it really turned into a dragon, he would find it hard to defeat a prime. Xiao Chen withdrew the heavenly snow divine flame into his palm and took out the saber sovereign medallion. Xiao Chen's primordial energy had improved again. He wanted to try and see if he could push open that door. He sent his spiritual sense into it. Soon, Xiao Chen entered that wondrous void world. A majestic palace exuding an ancient aura stood in front. The doors were tightly shut. This made it so that no one could see what was inside. This made them even more curious. Xiao Chen was no exception. He was very curious about the scene behind the doors. "You're here." The item spirit, Qing Yin, appeared from nowhere with a smile on her face. "However, I want to try and see if I can push open this door." Nodding, Xiao Chen did not say anything more. He circulated his energy, stepped forward, and soared into the air. Then he struck the door with his full power. Buzz! A crack appeared on the door, and it quickly closed. A rebound force appeared, and Xiao Chen was forced back. The gap in the door only existed for a second, but in that second Xiao Chen saw a lot. There were many statues in the hall, and each statue seemed to be alive. His gaze was as sharp as a blade as he stood there, neither servile nor overbearing. They stood there stubbornly. Some of the statues were on the verge of shattering, but they still showed no signs of collapsing. The statues here should depict the past saber sovereigns. They are all true bladesmen. Xiao Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said softly. Qingyin flew over and nodded. "That's right. If you enter it, there will also be a statue. The saber sovereign medallion has been passed down for a long time. Its history is even longer than you think. Perhaps we can uncover more of the saber sovereign medallion's secrets. The saber sovereign medallion has other secrets." Qingyin smiled and said, "That is natural. The saber sovereign medallion is an opportunity that Pan Huang left behind in the abandoned land. However, none of the past saber sovereigns managed to grab hold of this opportunity. I think very highly of you. Unfortunately, you have to leave now. Your strength is equivalent to that of an 8th Heaven Emperor Wu. You are still far from that of a 9th Heaven Emperor Wu." Xiao Chen did not show any intention of leaving. He asked sullenly, "I would like to ask if I can open these doors as long as I erupt with the strength of a 9th Heaven Emperor Wu." Qingyu nodded. Of course. However, the difference between an eighth heaven and a ninth heaven is not something that can be made up with a few profound martial techniques. The number 9 is supreme. Going from an eighth heaven to a ninth heaven is 100 times harder than going from a seventh heaven to an eighth heaven. In that case, there is no problem. Xiao Chun formed hand seals, and his figure suddenly expanded, reaching 3 kilometers tall. This was the Buddhist major magic skill, Dharmic World. Chapter 1435. When Xiao Chun executed Dharmic World, not only would his figure become huge, but his strength would also soar explosively for a short period, reaching an incredible level. The only flaw was that this Dharmic World could not last for too long. Xiao Chun could not delay any further. He strode forward and arrived before Pan Huang Hall in one step. At this moment, Pan Huang Hall no longer looked very tall to Xiao Chun. The doors were only at his knees. At this moment, Xiao Chun definitely could not use his hands to push the doors open. So he excused himself and kicked the doors of Pan Huang Hall. Qing Yin gaped at this scene in disbelief. Over the past tens of thousands of years, she had seen many arrogant saber sovereigns. However, none of them dared to kick the doors like Xiao Chun did. Amid her shock, the doors buzzed open. Whoosh! Xiao Chun reverted to his original form. Then he landed on the ground and entered the hall. Qing Yin was stunned for a moment before quickly following. No matter what, the doors were open in the end. That Xiao Chun was the new saber sovereign and also the master of her item spirit, Qing Yin. The hall was somewhat empty. After walking through a passageway, Xiao Chun arrived at the place where the statues stood. The statues were placed on different platforms of different heights. The first row was the lowest, and the further one went, the higher the platforms. Xiao Chun's line of sight continued upward. There was only one statue in the last row which was also the highest. That person wore golden battle intent, and his long hair casually fluttered about. He showed a flamboyant expression, letting his sharpness shine everywhere. That person had a smile on his face. His aura gave off an indescribable sense of carefreeness and calmness. Compared to the various saber sovereigns, the feeling that he gave off was the most special. However, one could not think of any words to describe what was special about him. They were clearly all statues. What was the difference? Qing Yun explained that as Pan Huang, he forged the saber sovereign medallion. He is also the fortuitous encounter that he left for all the bladesmen of the Kunlun realm. Xiao Chun put down the doubts in his heart and asked, "Did he leave the Kunlun realm in the end?" Qing Yin nodded. Pan Huang was born in the most glorious era of the ancient era. Even then, he stood at the peak of the world. He passed the numerous tests of Kunlun Mountain long ago and left this world. Kunlun Mountain? Are you saying that the way out of the abandoned land is in Kunlun Mountain? Xiao Chun asked excitedly. Qing Yun asked in confusion. You already have such a cultivation. Has no one told you that the way out of the Kunlun realm is on that boundless mountain path in Kunlun Mountain? Xiao Chun suddenly came to his senses. When he first went to Kunlun Mountain, he felt that it was strange. At that time, all the cultivators of the various races were there. The stone of origin was also buried under the mountain. There was no end to the mountain peak, and no one knew where it led to. Now he understood. It turned out that the endless mountain road led to the exit of the Kunlun realm. But don't get too excited. That path has always been there, but from ancient times until now, there have been too few people who have been able to walk out alive. That path is known as the path to heaven, but it also has another name, the path of death. Qing Yun continued, even a prime doesn't have the confidence to take that path. Once it's taken, it'll be hard to turn back. To most people, that is a path of death with no chance of survival. In the long history of the martial Tao, from the immemorial era to the ancient era, and then from the ancient era to the current era, how many people like Pan Huang were there? They can be counted on one hand. Everyone knows that that is the path out of the Kunlun realm. However, who dares to take it? Xiao Qin thought about it calmly. Suddenly, he remembered what Chu Chaoyan said about the once-in-10,000 years opportunity. Since the path in Kunlun Mountain was a path of death, the path Chu Chaoyan mentioned had to be another path. Furthermore, the Thunder King disappeared back then, his whereabouts unknown even now. He probably knew that he would not be able to make it to the end of his lifespan. He had embarked on this path of no return. Now that he thought about it, the odds were against him. There was also the cyclic Astral Lord. This fellow once hinted to me that I would have to walk the path that the Thunder King took sooner or later. So that was the case. He did not dare to walk this path himself. He wanted me to bring him away after I finished walking it. What are you thinking about? Qin Yin asked with a smile as she looked at the distracted Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin recovered his wits and replied, "It's nothing. It's just that I did not come into contact with them in the past few years, so no one told me about this. This is the first time I heard about it, so I was somewhat shocked. Don't mind it." Hee, it's fine. Of all the Saber Sovereigns in the past, you are the first to kick open the door. You are also the first to comprehend Saber energy on your own before coming in. I think very highly of you. Qin Yin appeared very happy. She pointed to a place and said, "Let's go. I'll bring you around and familiarize you with the hall. That is the comprehension platform. Although you already comprehended Saber energy, you'll get twice the results with half the effort when cultivating there." Xiao Qin looked in the direction Qin Yin pointed and walked over step by step. Then he saw a prayer mat floating in the air. Sitting cross-legged on it, Xiao Qin was startled to discover a large tree behind him. It was a Bodhi tree filled with Bodhi flowers. The fragrance of flowers spread under the shade of the tree, inducing one to enter a profound state without even realizing it. Come down. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. There are still some places that I have not introduced to you yet. Qin Yin pulled Xiao Qin down and brought him around Pan Huang Hall, not bothering to explain. The instant Xiao Qin came down, he turned his head back and discovered that the Bodhi tree was no longer there. Only then did he understand that the Bodhi tree was just an illusion and not the true Buddhist holy tree. This is the 5-element pool. There is a lightning pool, a strong wind pool, a frost water pool, and a heptagold pool. You can find a corresponding pool for all the attributes in the world. Pointing at a large pool, Qin Yin introduced, regardless of what type of power you cultivate, you can find it and use it to temper your will. Your will of thunder has not condensed into an innate thunder crystal yet, right? If you have time, you can soak in the lightning pool. When Xiao Qin went over to take a look, he was so startled that he took 3 steps back. The small pool was filled with black lightning. Who knew how many lightning bolts were in there, flickering endlessly, not stopping for even a moment. Just thinking about soaking in there made Xiao Qin tremble in fear. He would probably die the instant he went in. The space in Pan Huang Hall was very mysterious. Qin Yin led Xiao Qin around for a long time before they finished looking around. After going around the place, Xiao Qin became even more curious about this Pan Huang. This Pan Huang was truly a genius. To be able to leave such a space in the Saber Sovereign Medallion, Pan Huang simply took great care of the future Saber Sovereigns. No wonder Wu Xiaotian said that there would definitely be benefits to obtaining the Saber Sovereign Medallion. Pan Huang was far stronger than Xiao Qin had imagined. Even the Qing Emperor was not as strong as he was. The peak of the ancient era was an era even more dazzling than the golden age of the present. What kind of existence was he to be able to stand at the peak of that era? All right, now that we are done looking around, it is time to teach you how to cultivate Saber energy, Qin Yin said seriously, withdrawing the smile on her face. They finally reached the main topic. Xiao Qin listened attentively, looking at the other party quietly. There are 3,000 great Tao and 800 side doors in this world. As the saying goes, the side doors are not the great Tao. The 800 side doors are not the great Tao. As for the saber Tao, it is not even considered a side door. You should know that first came the sword, then the saber. The saber did not exist in the first place. Hence, among the 3,000 great Tao and 800 side doors, the saber Tao does not exist. Shao Chun listened quietly. He already knew all this. He already knew this when he learned the saber. However, this was not the main point yet. Although Pan Huang was not the inventor of the saber Tao, he was the one who led the Kunlun realm's saber Tao to its peak. Only after him did the saber Tao enter the ranks of the 3,000 great Tao and become comparable to the sword Tao. Only by comprehending saber energy can one be considered to have entered the saber Tao. Only then can one possess great Tao energy. Chapter 1436. Great Tao energy? Shao Qin muttered to himself. Then he raised his head and looked at the other party. As he mulled over these words, he pondered them. Qin Yun nodded and said, "That's right. It is great Tao energy. However, you have not crossed the threshold and have not obtained the Tao, so there is no need to comprehend it now." When Shao Qin heard this, he smiled and said, "Your words are interesting. Comprehending the Tao is for the sake of obtaining the Tao. Why is there a need to comprehend the Tao after obtaining it? It is like the process and the result. I already have the result, so why do I need the process?" Doubt flashed in Qin Yan's eyes as she rubbed her chin with her finger. Then she looked at Shao Qin strangely and asked, "Did I overestimate you? You still can't figure out such a simple principle? That should not be the case. You comprehended saber energy at such a young age. Many saber sovereigns did not manage to comprehend it until their deaths." Upon hearing this, Shao Qin felt embarrassed in his heart, like she was looking down on him. "Very well, I'll tell you about it. Obtaining the Tao means entering the door and seeing the Tao. Comprehending the Tao is to continuously improve, ponder, and search for the source of everything, all the way to eternity. Before you cross the threshold, everything you think is far from the Tao. The more you think, the more you feel that you are correct. Who knows, you might be even further away from the Tao." After Qin Yun explained in detail, Shao Qin came to his senses. Simply put, one had to find the direction first before thinking in the right direction. Without finding the right direction, everything one thought about would just be a waste of brain power. One might even go in the opposite direction, drifting further and further away from the Tao. "I understand. Please continue." Shao Qin humbly accepted. Then he gave Qin Yun a faint smile, indicating for her to continue. When Qin Yun saw Shao Qin's attitude, she nodded to herself. Although he was a little stupid, he was sufficiently humble. If Shao Qin knew what she was thinking, he probably would not be able to smile. "I'll now demonstrate what great Tao energy is and give you the right direction." After Qin Yin finished speaking, she arrived outside Pan Huang Hall and opened her palm. A light that looked like clear water leaped around in her palm. How familiar! Shao Chen's heart skipped a beat. The light contained the aura of saber energy. However, there seemed to be many other things as well. Smoother, more natural, and more relaxed. It was not like Shao Chen's saber energy, which came bit by bit. After it appeared, it had to be released. Otherwise, it would immediately explode. Tao. With a flip of Qin Yan's hand, the light scattered into specks, bright and resplendent. Shao Qin was shocked. There are so many of them. Could they all be saber energy? Xiao. Thousands of motes of light gathered, forming a bright wheel behind Qin Yin. Countless saber images flickered continuously. An overwhelming force burst out from Qin Yun's body. Shao Chun felt his qi and blood churning as he was knocked flying. He vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Then he looked at Qin Yun. The other party was just standing there quietly, not doing anything at all. However, there was an invisible power, a power that he was most familiar with, that sent him flying. At that moment, Qin Yun was like a god, unapproachable, and unblasphemous. It was like a treasured saber forged from bright jade, untainted by even a speck of dust, overflowing with brilliant light, and emitting boundless majesty. Tao. The bright will suddenly shrank to a spot. Then it gave off a bright light. It turned into a straight line, rising continuously as if it wanted to reach the ends of the sky. Shao Chen, who had already fallen to the ground, vomited a mouthful of blood as he got knocked back again. He could not block this force at all. Even if this force did not target Shao Chen on purpose, he could not get close to it or block it. The bright light turned into a straight line and rose to 300 meters before stopping. 100 meters was no more than 300 meters. However, it gave Shao Chen the feeling that it was even more majestic than a tall mountain. Qing Yin scattered the great Tao energy and drifted to the ground. Then, she helped Shao Chen up and asked, "Are you all right?" After wiping away the blood at the corner of his lips, Shao Chen stood up and said, "I'm fine. Is this your great Tao energy?" Qing Yin smiled and replied, "No. I'm just an item spirit. How can I obtain the Tao? This is some great Tao energy that Pan Huang left behind. Now, you should know what you should be working towards, right?" Shao Chen nodded and said, "I understand a little now." Qing Yin looked into Shao Chen's eyes and knew that he was not lying. She continued, "Cultivate 100 points of saber energy, first before you are qualified to try comprehending the Tao. 100 points of saber energy merge into a perfected great Tao energy. Then you can be considered to have obtained the Tao. After that, you can formally comprehend the Tao. I'll tell you about the Tao later. Do you still have any questions for now?" Shao Chen thought for a while and said, "You said that there are 3,000 great Tao and 800 unorthodox paths in the world. Can you list them in detail, and which Tao ranks higher?" Qing Yin shook her head and said, "3 is just an imaginary number. The 3,000 great Tao means that the Tao is boundless. There are countless unorthodox methods as well. There are definitely more than 800 of them. The Tao itself is not differentiated by rank. It is just that in some eras, some Tao does not have any legendary characters. After a long time, this Tao will slowly weaken. In severe cases, it might even disappear." Qing Yin continued, "The Tao is very important, but techniques are even more important. Don't be too obsessed with the Tao. Just like a bookworm, no matter how many books he reads, if he can't put what he learned to use, he's still trash." Shao Chen indicated that he understood. Just like his previous saber intent, no matter how strong his saber intent was, it was useless if he did not know how to use it. One last question. Is there a shortcut to cultivating saber energy? Right now, I need to draw saber energy from the saber domain. It is very troublesome. Qing Yin frowned and said, "I don't know about that. What I know is the cultivation method of great Tao energy." The meaning behind Pan Huang's words was that Shao Chen's level was too low, so Pan Huang could not be bothered to leave behind such insights. However, you don't have to be too vexed. There have been countless saber sovereigns in the past. However, there are less than 10 people who are truly qualified for me to teach them. Furthermore, there is not a single person who has comprehended great Tao energy. Qing Yun encouraged, "I still think very highly of you. Become the first person to comprehend great Tao energy under the Saber Sovereign Medallion. Otherwise, it would be too depressing if Master's good intentions were not fulfilled." Pan Huang's purpose in leaving behind the Saber Sovereign Medallion was to give later generations an opportunity to comprehend great Tao energy. Unfortunately, after the peak of the ancient era, the martial Tao declined. Although there was no lack of geniuses, no one could comprehend great Tao energy. Qing Yin had already given up hope long ago. Only when she saw Shao Chen did her fighting spirit reignite. "I'll do my best." Now that he had a direction, Shao Chen was in no rush. He did not immediately go out to cultivate saber energy. Instead, he went to the side of the lightning pool and entered deep thought. Shao Chen's will of thunder was just short of breaking through to the innate thunder crystal. Of the 3,000 great Dao, the thunder Dao was definitely among them. Aside from the saber Dao, Shao Chen also desired this thunder great Dao a lot. Ever since he started cultivating the purple thunder divine incantation, he had formed an affinity with lightning. No matter how he looked at it, he needed to comprehend the thunder great Dao in the future. Wanting to cultivate the thunder Dao was like the saber Dao needing to comprehend saber energy. The thunder Dao needed to make a breakthrough and obtain an innate thunder crystal. Although it looks rather scary, my will of thunder is just short of breaking through. It would be too much of a pity if I don't give it a try. After making up his mind, Shao Chen closed his eyes and jumped into the pool, filled with countless lightning bolts. Boom! In just an instant, this strand of spiritual sense vanished. Back in reality, Shao Chen's entire body trembled. His head ached, and his entire body went numb. His teeth chattered uncontrollably. Shao Chen could only clench his teeth tightly, afraid of accidentally biting his tongue. However, despite the pain, Shao Chen was delighted to discover that the bottleneck of his will of thunder had loosened somewhat. Again, after the pain passed, Shao Chen sent out a strand of spiritual sense and entered Pan Huang Hall again, jumping in without hesitation. This repeated again and again. At the start, Shao Chen could not last even a second. Eventually, he slowly adapted to it, staying in the lightning pool for an increasingly longer period of time. When Shao Chen made a breakthrough in Pan Huang Hall, the iron demon that he lured into the mysterious lake also had its own fortuitous encounter. A fortuitous encounter that no one expected. Chapter 1437. In the mysterious lake, the iron demon's bloody battle had already dyed the lake red, making it extremely thick. Suddenly, a splash appeared on the surface of the lake. The injured iron demon leaped out of it. Ha ha ha! We're finally out. Hey! Where's the shadowless saber sovereign? After laughing foolishly, the iron demon noticed that the target he was chasing had already disappeared. The smile on his face disappeared, and he immediately frowned. Scratching his head, he said, "It's over, I lost him. The two big brothers are going to scold me again." What is this thing? In his left hand was a 7-colored spirit fruit that was overflowing with spiritual energy. The ferocious beasts at the bottom of the lake had fought with the iron demons until now to protect this spirit fruit. It took him a lot of effort to kill all the beasts, and out of curiosity he dug out the fruit. If it were the cultivators of the other races, they would definitely check the fruit immediately and store it properly. He would not be like Iron Demon, who first wanted to lose sight of Shao Chen and then wanted to let down his two big brothers. Finally, he remembered that there was something in his hand. There's no demonic energy at all. One look and I can tell that it's trash. To think that a few ferocious beasts would treat it as treasure. How stupid! The heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the devil world all contain dense devil chi. Devils were also naturally fond of these things. The spiritual energy of the rainbow spirit fruit was so dense that it was about to overflow. Faintly, there was even a hint of immortal spiritual energy. Clearly, it was the legendary immortal world spirit fruit, a precious material that would cause even the Holy Lord to fight over it. However, the Iron Demon just didn't like it. After sniffing it a few times, it tossed it away. Then, it casually stepped on it and crushed it. The moment the spirit fruit shattered, more spirit chi leaked out. The fragrance assaulted the nose, and the Iron Demon could not help but take a few more breaths. He didn't think much of it. He casually glanced in a direction and casually left. Unknowingly, the Iron Demon felt his mind growing clearer and clearer. Many of the questions he had been confused about became clearer. His cloudy, colorless eyes slowly changed. In the end, his eyes were filled with spiritual energy. He didn't look like the foolish Iron Demon at all. 1 step, 2 steps. After taking 10 steps, Iron Demon suddenly stopped. Damn it! The Iron Demon slapped his forehead, and took a step back, landing on the spot where he had crushed the spirit fruit. However, the spirit fruit had already been trampled to a pulp. It was mixed with the soil, and its spiritual energy was nowhere to be found. How could I be so stupid? Just a whiff of the immortal chi was enough for me to gain enlightenment, yet I actually stepped on it myself. Iron Demon wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He wished he could chop off his own leg. He didn't realize that ever since the birth of the Iron Demons, there had never been an intelligent Iron Demon. He was the first one in history. I finally understand why those two fellows made me foolishly chase after the shadowless Saber Sovereign alone. As the Iron Demon thought about it, he understood many things from the past. It turned out that the Iron Demon clan had been used like fools for so many years. Shadowless Saber Sovereign, should I thank you? The Iron Demon smiled coldly. Since I, sorta, have such a fortuitous encounter, I must change the fate of the Iron Demon tribe. Putting aside the matter of the spirit fruit being crushed, the Iron Demon calmed himself down. Spreading out his mental energy, he carefully examined the surroundings, and a frown appeared on his face. Why are there so many experts in this savage battlefield? After a while, the Iron Demon discovered several strong auras. Some of these existences even made him feel afraid. If the Iron Demon had walked out carelessly earlier and was discovered, he would have died a miserable death. I have to wait for a while before I can go out. After making up his mind, the Iron Demon jumped into the lake and hid, preparing to lie low for the time being. The lake was a forbidden land. Outsiders would not casually inspect it. Right now, this was the safest place. If it were the Iron Demon of the past, he definitely would not have thought of this. However, now that he was intelligent, everything was different. In a secluded valley, after cultivating for 5 days, Shaochin finally broke, through his will of thunder, into an innate thunder crystal. Actually, if it were an ordinary person, he would only need one attempt to break through his bottleneck in the lightning pool. However, Shaochin had accumulated too much will of thunder. Furthermore, the purple thunder divine incantation was lightning attributed in the first place. Hence, breaking through was exceptionally difficult. However, the benefits of breaking through are clear. Inside the Saber Sovereign Medallion, Shaochin could already sit calmly at the edge of the lightning pool. However, he still did not dare to go to the core or dive too deep. However, compared to his initial situation of retreating at the first spot, it was much better now. As Shaochin enjoyed the baptism of lightning, he felt exceptionally comfortable. His understanding of lightning improved by another level. It's time to withdraw. Feeling that he could no longer endure it, Shaochin stood up and leaped out of the lightning pool. Not bad. You are indeed a person with great perseverance. It looks like you might be able to grasp a second Tao in the future, the Thunder Great Tao, Qingyin said softly from the side with a smile. However, I cannot give you any pointers on the direction of the Thunder Great Tao. You will have to slowly explore it yourself in the future. Of course, it would be best if you could find a senior to lead the way. Shaochin understood this principle. When it came to the cultivation of the Great Tao, there were people pointing the way and no one pointing the way. If not for the Saber Sovereign Medallion, Shaochin did not know when he would have comprehended the Saber Great Tao. There's also the ice pool over there. Do you want to give it a try? Your will of ice is somewhat too weak. Shaochin took a look and shook his head in rejection. There is no need for now. I have to leave the savage battlefield. I have already wasted too much time. Good. I hope that the next time we meet, you will have already cultivated 100 saber energy, Qingyin said with a smile. Definitely. Shaochin opened his eyes and returned to reality. Seated on the throne, Shaochin closed his eyes and casually sensed the innate thunder crystal. Then he opened his eyes again. Boom! 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 Suddenly, 5 bolts of lightning descended from the sky, illuminating the valley. Shaochin had a feeling in his heart, a ruler. That's right, a ruler. All the lightning-attributed energy within 5,000 kilometers was under Xiao Chen's control, revering him as king. This feeling was very profound. In the past, no matter how strong Xiao Chen was, he had to obtain lightning-attributed energy from the world. However, after forming the innate thunder crystal, he felt like he was the ruler. All the lightning-attributed energy was his subjects. With a thought, he could decide their life and death. So that is the case. The mysteries of the innate thunder crystal lie in the word ruler. With a thought, the thunder clouds vanished without a trace, and the desolate valley returned to normal. Xiao Chen extended out his spiritual sense to sense the situation in the surroundings. When he withdrew his spiritual sense, he frowned slightly. Indeed, it was more or less as Xiao Chen guessed. He injured the divine Sun Diwuk, so the deity Tao Union would not let him off so easily. The major characters of the deity Tao Union had already rushed to this savage battlefield and were searching for him. Several of the strong auras among them were no weaker than the 3 demons who worked together to kill him back then. There were even stronger existences. However, they hid their auras rather well, so Xiao Chen could not sense them with his spiritual sense. It looks like I have to be more careful before I can leave. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen withdrew his aura and flew into the clouds, heading for the savage battlefield. After 3 years of bitter cultivation, as long as he wanted to, even primes would not be able to discover his presence. As Xiao Chen flew, he discovered that many Kunlun realm cultivators, who were about to leave, were stopped by the deity Tao Union's people. After checking with his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen discovered that the deity Tao Union wanted them to hand over some of their gains in the savage battlefield. If they did not hand it over, they would have to join the deity Tao Union, which was extremely tyrannical. In this fight with the demon royal halls, the strength that the deity Tao Union displayed did indeed qualify them to be tyrannical. Xiao Chen did not have a good impression of the deity Tao Union. Normally, when he did not have any worries, it would be fine to deal with them. However, now he definitely could not cause any more trouble. However, just as Xiao Chen hid his aura and was about to leave, seeing a group of familiar figures blocked by the deity Tao Union's people, Xiao Chen, who was flying as fast as lightning in the clouds, suddenly stopped. Very few people in this world could make Xiao Chen put himself in danger. He had always been calm and resolute, never indecisive. However, these acquaintances in front of him were clearly part of that minority. This was very surprising. Xiao Chen had not expected Shui Lingling, Bai, and the others to be trapped in this savage battlefield as well. He clearly remembered that after the demon monarch corpse was summoned out, his first senior sister and the others immediately left. It has already been 5 days. Why are we still trapped here? That was right. The group of people below was Shui Lingling and Juanqi by Kong Yuan Yuan Su and the other fiend race outstanding talents. Logically speaking, these people were all outstanding talents. It should not be difficult for them to break through the deity Tao Union's blockade. However, the one blocking them was the heaven-punishing corpse god's personal disciple, Xingju. More importantly, he had forged the deity statue. Although it would be very difficult for Xiao Chen to advance to prime in this lifetime, his explosive increase in strength in a short time allowed him to suppress Shui Lingling and the others. Behind Xingju were 3 deity Tao Union warships. There were many elite deity race, ghost race, and corpse race cultivators on the warships. Whoosh! More than 100 people jumped off the warships. All of their cultivations were not low. Furthermore, they seemed to be cultivating the same cultivation technique. As they moved, the ground flickered with golden light. Images of deities flickered in the sky above their heads. Seeing such a lineup, Bai revealed a trace of resentment on his face. He lowered his head and said, "Elder sister Lingling, I'm sorry. If not for me being stubborn and going to look for that shadowless saber sovereign, everyone would not be trapped." Shui Lingling smiled and said, "What are you feeling wronged about? I was the one who agreed to look for the shadowless saber sovereign. If there is someone to blame, it should be me. As Injuanshi held the true dragon lightning whip, he said calmly, "This group of people from the deity Dao Union is becoming increasingly overboard. If the deity race did not help them forge the deity statue, they would not be able to be so arrogant." Xingju led the 100 deity Dao Union cultivators over slowly. The 3 warships behind them followed like shadows, putting immense pressure on them. "Miss Shui, we meet again. I believe you are not willing to join our deity Dao Union. However, the rules cannot be changed. Hand over your gains in the savage battlefield, and you may leave." Xingju smiled faintly as he spoke, unhurriedly. "Since when did the deity Dao Union resort to banditry? Are they really that poor?" Shui Lingling asked coldly. "That is not the case. Not only is the deity Dao Union not poor, but it also has the richest resources in the world. As long as one joins the deity Dao Union, not only do they not have to hand over their gains, but they can also obtain all sorts of treasures from the deity Dao Union." Xingju did not get angry. He smiled and said, "For example, if the few of you are really willing to join, the deity Dao Union can immediately forge a deity statue for you, allowing your strength to soar rapidly." "Like you." "That's right, as strong as me. I meant like you, with the body of a human but the heart of a dog." Shui Lingling smiled coldly. Xingju's face sank. "You do not know how to appreciate favors. That's fine as well. You Haotian sect dogs are living too comfortably. I have to teach you a lesson." Just at this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly descended from the sky, heading for Xingju. The lightning bolt appeared without any warning, catching Xingju off guard. He retreated in a fluster and nearly got struck. Buzz! The lightning bolt vanished. It turned out that a saber had descended together with the lightning bolt. Boom! 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 Bolts of lightning descended one after another. As each bolt of lightning descended, a saber accompanied it. The lightning was fast and urgent, and there was no warning. 3 bolts of lightning passed by. After 3 bolts of lightning, Xingju's figure became somewhat unsteady, nearly falling over. This made him feel extremely unbearable. Xiao Qin tried to gather energy in his body several times, but it was interrupted every time. He could only dodge. Xiao Qin anxiously sought a breather. However, the more anxious he was, the more openings he revealed. The lightning in the sky didn't give him a chance to catch his breath at all. When the 5th lightning bolt fell, when the 5th bolt of lightning descended, Xingju cried out in pain, and his entire body twitched. A saber stabbed into his chest, pinning him to the ground. Electric light flickered on the saber. When Xingju touched it with his hand, the electricity made him tremble and scream. Xiao Chun tore through the clouds and quickly descended. Clang! 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 The few sabers stabbed into the ground quickly returned behind the throne. All that was left was the blade of wrath that pinned Xingju to the ground. "It's the shadowless saber sovereign," quickly informed the various elders. When the 100 cultivators behind saw Xiaoqin descend, they could not care less about Xingju being pinned to the ground. They were so startled that they quickly returned to their warships and fled far away. They looked like they had seen a demon, panicking. With a thought, Xiaoqin sheathed the wrath saber as well. Xingju coughed a few times. Then he looked at Xiaoqian and smiled. "Shadowless saber sovereign, indeed, you have not left yet. It would have been fine if you did not show yourself. However, once you do, this savage battlefield will definitely be your burial ground." Whoosh! Xiaoqin stretched out his hand, and a strong suction surged out, pulling Xingju over. Seeing the other party's flustered face, Xiaoqin felt very rueful for some reason. Back then, when Xiaoqin first met the other party at the king conferral ceremony, he was very sharp. Now, although Xiaoqin's strength was extraordinary, he had lost all his sharpness. With such a mental fortitude, he would never be able to advance to prime in this life. The deity Tao Union had truly harmed many people. If the deity Tao Union really left the Kunlun realm, the luck of the other races, aside from the deity race, would decrease significantly in less than 100 years. They might even end up going extinct. The deity race's wild ambitions were clear. However, this was Xing Ju's own choice. Shao Qin could not be bothered with it. He only sighed. I won't kill you. Keeping you alive is the greatest punishment for yourself. Shao Qin casually tossed Xing Ju's body 10 kilometers away. Bang! He kicked up a large cloud of dust. As of now, Shao Chen's cultivation rivaled that of the 8th Heaven Emperor Wu's. Furthermore, there was his cultivation of the Saber Dao. Someone like Xing Ju did not interest him at all. Whoosh! The throne turned into a beam of rainbow light and quickly vanished from Shui Lingling and the others, turning into a black dot and vanishing. Shadowless Saber Sovereign, don't go. Bai felt anxious and wanted to give chase. However, Shui Lingling stopped him. Elder Sister Lingling, don't stop me. He is. Woo! Bai wanted to say the last 2 words, but Shui Lingling covered his mouth and whispered, Don't say it. By now, Shui Lingling had already guessed that her feelings were not wrong. The shadowless Saber Sovereign was an existence that she worried about day and night. This was sufficient to comfort her. It was also good to come out as the shadowless Saber Sovereign. At least, he would not attract too much attention. If his identity was exposed, the primes would definitely not give him a chance to grow. Although Shao Chen's strength was acceptable in the early stages, he was still a distance away from the Holy Lord and the primes. If Shao Chen removed his mask one day, he would definitely be able to hold his own and face primes directly. Shui Lingling was very meticulous. She quickly guessed why Shao Chen hid his identity. Her guess was very close to the truth. Elder Sister Lingling, he really is, Bai said quickly after struggling free from Shui Lingling's grasp. However, he was only halfway through his sentence when Shui Lingling interrupted him. I know. It's just that I can't say it. We are leaving soon. He must have his own difficulties. The fact that he is willing to take the risk to help us already shows that he has not changed. He is doing well. Bai entered deep thought. After a while, he smiled and looked at Shui Lingling. Elder Sister Lingling, I understand now. Understand what? And Juanqi asked out of curiosity as he walked over. This is a secret. I'm not telling you. Think about it yourself, Bai said with a smile, feeling much happier. Shui Lingling smiled warmly and said, Let's go. Don't miss this opportunity. Go back and report to Master. We can't let the deity Tao Union's people be too unbridled in this savage battlefield. On the other side, Shao Qin felt somewhat bitter in his heart. He could not meet his family and friends. Aside from the knot in his heart, the biggest reason was what Shui Lingling guessed. The identity of the shadowless Saber Sovereign was very important to Shao Qin. He needed to use it to enter the Mirage Immortal Palace. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 figures descended from the sky and blocked in front of Shao Qin. Lights flickered, and another 6 people descended from the remaining 3 directions, sealing off all of Shao Chen's paths of retreat. There were also 3 middle-aged men in the sky, standing side by side. They hovered in the air, looking at Shao Chen coldly. When Shao Chen saw these 3, he revealed a bitter smile. What a big move! Even the 3 Holy Masters appeared. There were 2 8th Heaven Emperor Wus in each direction. Furthermore, Shao Chen could feel the aura of their holy beast martial spirits. 8 8th Heaven Emperor Wus and the 3 Holy Masters had personally arrived. That was to say, the 3 Holy Masters had sent out their peak combat power to surround and suppress him, the shadowless Saber Sovereign. A Holy Land sect leader was mostly the 9th Heavenly Layer Emperor Wu, and there were 2 or 3 8th Heavenly Layer Emperor Wu's Supreme Elders. If there were any more trump cards, they would only be used to deal with Supreme Martial Artists. For example, the sacred beast totem of the land of the 3 holy masters, the poison cloud of the 5 venom sect, and the sun and een flame pools of the zodiac hull. Apart from the sacred beast totem, the 3 holy masters had gone all out to encircle him. This was simply inconceivable. Shao Chen had just chopped down on Diwuk. If he really killed Diwuk, would Emperor Forsaken lead the deity Dao Union to kill him? Shadowless Saber Sovereign, Emperor Forsaken sees that you are a character. As long as you are willing to hand over the Saber Sovereign Medallion or submit to the deity Dao Union, you will be willing to help us. We can let bygones be bygones, and everything can be discussed. We can even give you the position of Vice Guild Leader. One of the 2 supreme elders of the Phoenix's Passion Palace, who were blocking in front, said, "During the Golden Age, many outstanding talents joined the deity Dao Union. However, the deity sovereign never gave the position of Vice Guild Leader to the others. Aside from the 3 holy masters, the other Vice Guild leaders are all primes. Shadowless Saber Sovereign, you know how much the deity sovereign thinks of you, right?" Another person at the side took over the conversation and continued. As they spoke, the 2 felt somewhat jealous. Even their positions in the deity Dao Union were not as high as the Shadowless Saber Sovereign's. As long as the Shadowless Saber Sovereign was willing, he could immediately become their superior, his status on par with the 3 holy masters. Emperor Forsaken had never thought so highly of a person before. These words were indeed true. If possible, the 2 would not be willing to say this. However, the deity sovereign instructed them to say this, so they had no choice but to say it. On the throne, Shao Chen smiled coldly to himself. Then he said indifferently, "Emperor Forsaken really thinks highly of me." What a joke! Shao Chen had an irreconcilable grudge with Emperor Forsaken. If not for Shao Chen's tough life, he would have died many times over because of Emperor Forsaken. If not for Emperor Forsaken, Shao Chen would not have ended up like this. He clearly had the chance to kill Diwuk, but he could not. If not for Emperor Forsaken, how could there be a boundless blood grave in Meteor Trail City for 5,000 kilometers? All the tombstones used blood to outline Shao Chen's name. He hid this hatred in his heart, never forgetting it in this life. Of course, this is a treatment that we cannot receive. Think about it. You even injured the Divine Son earlier. The deity sovereign's magnanimity is clear from this. Think about it. Even if you are not willing to join the deity Dao Union, as long as you hand over the Saber Sovereign Medallion, you can receive the deity Dao Union's treatment. The deity sovereign is already very polite to you. How you think about it is up to you. The 2 supreme elders spoke one after another. Their words could be described as extravagant. However, aside from smiling coldly in his heart, Shao Chen did not do anything else. Did they take him for a fool? While the 2 supreme elders spoke, the old men in the other 3 directions silently shrank the encirclement. However, it did not matter. Shao Chen was just stalling for time. He only had one chance to break out of this encirclement. If he missed this chance, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. It is impossible for me to join the deity Dao Union. However, I can consider handing over the Saber Sovereign Medallion. Seated on the throne, Shao Chen pretended to be deep in thought. Then he continued, "However, how can you guarantee that you will not let me off after you obtain the Saber Sovereign Medallion?" "Don't worry. If you are willing to hand over the Saber Sovereign Medallion, I swear that I will let you go. The 3 holy lords will not make things difficult for you, either." One of the Phoenix's Passion Palace's old men said with a smile when he saw that there was hope. Emperor Forsaken probably knew the value of the Saber Sovereign Medallion as well. Hence, he could tolerate Shao Chen using the Saber Sovereign Medallion in exchange for his life. However, while Emperor Forsaken could tolerate it, Shao Chen could not bear to part with it. Putting aside the benefits of the Saber Sovereign Medallion, Wu Shaotian, who personally handed it over to Shao Chen, Xiao Qin could not bear to do so. Very well, come over then. Xiao Qin twirled the saber sovereign medallion in his hand and looked at this person. However, do you have the guts? Xiao! Suddenly, the white tiger Holy Lord descended from the sky. He waved his hand to stop the Supreme Elder, who was about to step forward. He snorted coldly and said, "Stop playing tricks. I will use an oath stone to swear that, as long as you are willing to hand over the saber sovereign medallion, I will let you go." After saying that, he really took out an oath stone and used the white tiger Holy Lord's name to swear that, as long as Xiao Qin was willing to hand over the saber sovereign medallion, he would let him go. Xiao Qin's expression changed slightly. He was somewhat surprised. He had not expected the white tiger, Holy Lord, to come down personally. Originally, Xiao Qin thought that at most, only 2 Supreme Elders would come together. That way, the instant he handed over the saber sovereign medallion, he would find an opportunity to kill his way out. However, he had not expected the white tiger Holy Lord to come down himself, not giving him any chance at all. "I'll risk it all. No matter what, there is only one chance. I have to risk it all." Xiao Qin circulated 10 points of saber energy, preparing to gather them on the saber sovereign medallion at any moment. At the same time, he secretly circulated the sharp spirit finger. When it was necessary, he would erupt out with 10 points of saber energy before using the sharp spirit finger. After the white tiger Holy Lord made his oath, he glanced at Xiao Qin, who was twirling the saber sovereign medallion. Then he slowly walked over to Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin's thoughts were very simple. If the other party did not comply, he would directly smack him to death. If not for the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign's death order, the shadowless saber sovereign would not have come. The white tiger, Holy Lord, walked in the air with a majestic gait. With every step he took, a tiger roar resounded. Winds blew and clouds scattered. Mysterious phenomena that only the Holy Lord could have appeared behind him. As the other party approached step by step, Xiao Qin felt an increasingly heavy pressure. At this moment, Xiao Qin clearly understood that there was a huge gap between him and these major characters of the Kunlun realm. However, if Xiao Qin knew that the white tiger Holy Lord was even more astonished, he would probably feel a little proud in his heart. The white tiger Holy Lord was now in existence equal to a deep abyss demon monarch. In the entire Kunlun realm, only a handful of Emperor Wu could remain calm under his aura. 10 steps, 9 steps, 8 steps, Xiao Qin could already clearly see every detail of the white tiger Holy Lord's face. The other party's figure slowly enlarged in his eyes. 3 steps. When the white tiger Holy Lord was only 3 steps away from Xiao Qin, he stopped. He stretched out his hand and said, "Take it out and I'll let you go. Otherwise die." The white tiger Holy Lord's words were cold and emotionless, containing a sharp and stern murderous intent that sent a chill down one's spine. "Xiao!" The saber sovereign medallion stopped spinning. Then Xiao Qin grasped it tightly and slowly extended it, as though he had yielded to the other party's pressure. The gazes of the 8 Supreme Elders and the 2 Holy Lords in the air narrowed as they focused on Xiao Qin's actions. Many gazes gathered together, giving off a formless pressure, as if they were shouldering a tall mountain. Xiao Qin's heart tensed to the extreme. This time, when he stood up for Shui Lingling and the others, he nearly forced himself into a dead end. However, even if he had another chance, he would not regret his decision. There was only one reason: it was worth it. If Xiao Qin felt that it was worth it, he would not regret it for the rest of his life. Even if the 3 holy masters gathered together, he would not regret it. Dream on. It would be strange if I gave the saber sovereign medallion to you. When Xiao Qin extended his hand halfway, he suddenly burst out, and the throne instantly merged into his clothes. The saber sovereign medallion released a dazzling light and shot out with the horrifying explosive force of 10 points of saber energy. Xiao! At such a close distance, even if Xiao Qin was the Holy Lord, he would not be able to dodge. there was a loud sound, and the berserk saber, intent, gave off a dense light before exploding. The entire sky began to tremble as if it was about to shatter. The might of the 10 points of saber energy that could instantly kill an 8th heaven martial technique when gathered in the saber sovereign medallion was enough to make one's heart tremble. The 2 holy lords and the 8 supreme elders all felt their hearts in their throats. Will something happen to the white tiger, holy lord? When the light scattered, the situation before them was somewhat unexpected. Blood leaked out of the white tiger, holy lord's mouth, but he still had a faint smile on his face. He held the saber sovereign medallion in front of his chest with 2 fingers. Do you think that I did not guard against you? This old man has experienced tens of thousands of battles, both big and small. How could I not see through your schemes? The white tiger, holy lord's lips curled up as he revealed a mocking expression. Heavy disdain flashed in his eyes. Sharp spirit finger. Shao Qin seemed to have expected this. The moment the light scattered, the sharp spirit finger happened to strike the saber sovereign medallion. Pu Si. A scarlet light flashed, and the saber sovereign medallion pierced through Shao Qin's heart. Shao Qin leaped into the air and stomped on the white tiger holy lord, who had vomited a large mouthful of blood. Then he stepped forward to catch the saber sovereign medallion and charged forward at lightning speed. Shao Qin sent the white tiger, holy lord, flying with 1 kick. However, the situation was not very optimistic. There were 2 8th heaven supreme elders blocking the way in front, and there were 2 holy lord charging over from behind. The holy lord's speed was very fast. As long as these 2 8th heaven supreme elders blocked Shao Qin for even a moment, they would catch up to him in an instant. Go all out. Just as Shao Qin merged the 7 divine weapons and prepared to fight to the death, the 2 8th heaven emperor were blocking the way in front, both cried out miserably and fell to the ground like meteors. This is... Shao Qin's heart skipped a beat. When the 2 8th heaven emperor Wu fell, he saw the figure behind him. It was the iron demon that sneak attacked him before. What's going on? Since when could the iron demon sneak attack so silently? Also, why did the iron demon make a move against the 2 Phoenix's Passion Palace Supreme Elders? Questions filled Shao Qin's mind, all of which he could not understand. When Shao Qin clearly saw the iron demon's eyes, he felt even more confused. That intense spiritual energy did not seem like something the iron demon should have. Shadowless Saber Sovereign, you gave me, Su Erda, an opportunity. Today, I made a move to save you. From now on, we do not owe each other anything. The iron demon smiled and leaped into the air, moving past Shao Qin. Before his flabbergasted gaze, the iron demon flew towards the 2 holy lords. Although the iron demon was not a match for the holy lord, its strong physical body was sufficient for it to endure many blows and forcibly flee. This was something that Shao Qin could not compare to. The iron demon had this innate advantage. Shao Qin could not think too much. This was a rare opportunity, so he turned into a beam of rainbow light and quickly fled. Continue the chase. We absolutely cannot let this fellow escape the savage battlefield. The vermilion bird, holy lord, and the black tortoise, holy lord, were entangled by the iron demon. Rage filled their hearts, so they got the remaining 6 supreme elders to continue chasing Shao Qin. The iron demon, Su Erda, was in a sorry state. Facing the combined attacks of the 2 holy lords, he could not put up any resistance at all. He could only rely on his abnormally strong physical body to resist, without the slightest ability to retaliate. They wanted to fight the iron demon in one move, but the 2 sacred lords realized to their surprise that the iron demon wasn't able to defeat it in one move. However, the 2 holy lords were shocked to discover that the foolish iron demon in their original impression did not appear on this iron demon. As long as it was a killing move, the iron demon would not foolishly attack. It would either dodge or strengthen its physical body to defend with all its might. The more problematic thing was that this iron demon was determined to hold the two back. No matter who tried to escape, the iron demon would hold them back, preventing them from doing so. After 15 minutes, the iron demon Su Erda thought to himself, "This is as far as I can help. If I continue, I will die here as well." Being able to hold out for 15 minutes for Shao Chen was already very benevolent, worthy of that opportunity. The human race's holy lord, is only SOO. I will seek guidance from the two of you half a year later. The iron demon laughed loudly and soared into the air, heading for the starry heavens. When the black tortoise holy lord saw that the iron demon was about to leave, he immediately wanted to give chase. However, the vermilion bird, holy lord, stopped him. "Go and check on the white tiger, holy lord, to see how his injuries are. I'll go and chase after the shadowless saber sovereign." The black tortoise holy lord nodded and said, "Right, I nearly forgot." After saying that, the two went their separate ways. One went to chase after the shadowless saber sovereign, and the other headed for where the white tiger holy lord landed. In a deep pit, the black tortoise holy lord found the white tiger holy lord, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, quickly treating his injuries. The white tiger holy lord saw a hole in the white tiger holy lord's chest. Blood flowed out continuously, not stopping even now. The white tiger holy lord's complexion was pale, and his entire body gave off a charred smell. Clearly, he was severely injured. "Brother White Tiger, how did you get so severely injured?" the black tortoise holy lord asked, frowning in confusion. "A junior injured the bona fide holy lord." This was simply too inconceivable. The white tiger holy lord slowly opened his eyes and said, 10 points of saber energy and a sharp spirit finger can instantly shatter a heart. Do you think it is very easy? Saber energy? Sharp spirit finger? The black tortoise holy lord was greatly startled. That's impossible. This shadowless saber sovereign actually comprehended saber energy and the sharp spirit finger. In the entire world, there are only 2 people who know the sharp spirit finger. One is the flame rock sovereign, and the other is the blue dragon king. Could it be that this shadowless saber sovereign is the blue dragon king Shao Chen? The more he thought about it, the black tortoise holy lord suddenly had a bold and startling thought. The white tiger holy lord shook his head and said, "It can't be the blue dragon king Shao Chen. This fellow jumped off his emperor's road 5 years ago and suffered a backlash from his great tribulation of wind and fire. It is already pretty good that he managed to survive. How can it be possible for him to rise again? Furthermore, if he really is the blue dragon king, why would Emperor Forsaken invite him into the deity Dao Union? Then he is." The white tiger holy lord said after some thought, "It can only be said that he is a variable that suddenly rose up in the golden age. Otherwise, Emperor Forsaken would not have treated him differently." The 2 did not know that even the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign could not see through the shadowless saber sovereign. If they told the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign about the shadowless saber sovereign knowing the sharp spirit finger, the shadowless saber sovereign would not be able to see through him. If they told the Qi-Tian about the shadowless saber sovereign, even if the Qi-Tian could not guess it, he would be suspicious. However, the 2 both believed that since Emperor Forsaken did not find anything wrong with the shadowless saber sovereign, there was no need to worry about this matter. "Why are you here? You did not chase after the shadowless saber sovereign?" The white tiger holy lord suddenly thought of this matter and asked, "You didn't let the shadowless saber sovereign escape, right?" The black tortoise Sheng Zhou shook his head and said, "He was delayed by an iron demon. However, the vermilion bird, holy lord, already gave chase, with him making a move as long as the shadowless saber sovereign is still in the Tianwu domain. He will not be able to escape. Of the 3, the vermilion bird, holy lord, was the strongest. If he used his full power, there was really nothing to worry about. In the sky, the vermilion bird, Holy Lord, closed his eyes. Fiery clouds churned behind him, stretching for tens of thousands of kilometers. After a while, he suddenly opened his eyes and waved his right hand ferociously. Whoosh! The fiery clouds surged like waves, and thousands of small flaming birds shot out from them. They shot out in all directions like arrows. Upon closer inspection, each flaming bird was a miniature version of a vermilion bird. They were astonishingly fast. More importantly, they covered the sky and covered the ground, covering all directions. Shao Qin, who had just flown out of the savage battlefield, suddenly saw the vermilion birds flying past him. His expression immediately changed. After much difficulty, he had managed to shake off the pursuit of the 6 supreme elders. However, the vermilion bird, Holy Lord, discovered him. Now that he had used his saber energy and sharp spirit finger, it would be very difficult for him to escape from the hands of the vermilion bird, Holy Lord, just by relying on the flawless saber technique. Quickly leave. I'll help you block the 3 holy masters. Brat, you really hid it from me. Live well. I will continue to help you hide the identity of the shadowless saber sovereign. Suddenly, a voice rang out in Shao Chen's mind. Joy appeared on Shao Chen's face. He knew that he was saved. That was right. The person who came was the Hao Qian's sex, Ying Zongtian. However, Ying Zongtian did not appear before Shao Qian. He only sent a voice projection to prevent others from suspecting him. In the savage battlefield, the vermilion bird, Holy Lord, smiled faintly and waved his hand to scatter the thick, fiery clouds. Let's see where you can run to. Ying Zongtian formed hand seals with both hands and gave off boundless holy light. The flames on his body started to burn. After Ying Zongtian finished forming the hand seals, his body turned into a huge vermilion bird. This vermilion bird was more than 3 kilometers long. When it spread its wings, they covered the sky and sun. Whoosh! The huge wings flapped ferociously, and the vermilion bird instantly flew over the savage battlefield. The vermilion bird moved incredibly fast. Everywhere it passed, it left behind a long flaming tail that traversed the entire sky. Dang! Just as this huge vermilion bird moved like it was teleporting, continuously accelerating at lightning speed, the vermilion bird crashed into an invisible wall. He crashed into an invisible wall, causing the entire sky to tremble violently. Boundless flames scattered from the vermilion bird's body, turning into a rain of fire that fell to the ground. Whoosh! The flaming bird appeared. The vermilion bird, Holy Lord, paled and said in an extremely furious tone, Ying Zongtian, don't stop me from doing proper business. A light flashed, and Ying Zongtian appeared expressionlessly. He said coldly, Vermilion bird, Holy Lord, if you want to kill the shadowless saber sovereign, that is your problem. I don't care. Don't make a move in my Tianwu domain. This Tianwu domain belongs to the Bushin Palace, not your deity Dao Union. Give me a reason. Otherwise, the deity Dao Union will not let this matter rest. The vermilion bird, Holy Lord, said through clenched teeth. Ying Zongtian laughed loudly and said, I never need a reason to do things. You're not leaving? That's fine. I have not fought with you for 5 years, and my hands are itching. Seeing that Ying Zongtian was about to make a move, the vermilion bird, Holy Lord, retreated quickly. The 3 holy masters worked together and barely managed to fight to a draw with Ying Zongtian. How could the vermilion bird dare to fight Ying Zongtian alone? You want to leave? It's too late. Ying Zongtian smiled coldly and gave chase. He had already made up his mind to teach the 3 holy masters a lesson. At the same time, he could divert the deity Dao Union's attention from the shadowless saber sovereign to himself. Shao Qin, who was fortunate enough to escape, still could not understand why the Iron Demon came to help him. If not for the Iron Demon's sudden appearance, Shao Chen would not have been able to leave the savage battlefield unscathed. Could the fortuitous encounter that the Iron Demon spoke of be because of that mysterious lake? After thinking about it, Xiao Chen concluded that this was the only reason. However, this was not the time to think about this. He had to leave the Tianwu domain first. As long as he was in the Tianwu domain, he would not feel safe. The cycle throne turned into a war chariot and carried Xiao Chen forward. Inside the war chariot, Xiao Chen thought about the earlier battle, feeling heavy pressure. When facing the Holy Lord, Xiao Chen was truly helpless. He could only use some of his trump cards and rely on luck to escape. If Xiao Chen faced the White Tiger, Holy Lord again, and the other party wanted to, he would find it hard to escape, not to mention injuring him. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen lacked a trump card that could threaten the Holy Lord or even a prime. Originally, Dermic World should have been a good trump card. However, once he used it, he would have to expose his identity. Using the sharp spirit finger was very risky. He did not know if he could hide it from the other party. Xiao Chen needed a new trump card. However, the Holy Lord was different from regular Ninth Heaven Martial Emperors. He was a peak existence like Emperor Wu, only a step away from Prime. Being a half-step Prime was already a major character at the peak of the Kunlun realm. Standing at the peak, only a few Primes could surpass them. Obtaining a trump card that could threaten the Holy Lord was easier said than done. Suddenly, Xiao Chen saw the cycle war chariot in a city below slowly turn around. That was Hunluo Province's Hunluo City. This was a city that Xiao Chen had a deep impression of when he came out of Heavenly Star Island 3 years ago. After making a trip to the Bloody Cemetery, Xiao Chen rushed to Hunluo Province's Eternal Heavenly Sword School. Unfortunately, he turned the Eternal Heavenly Sword School upside down. Although Xiao Chen found some clues, he could not find Xie Changtian, who sneak attacked the Thunder King Sangmu back then. All the clues pointed to a place where Xie Changtian went the Penglai Sea. Back then, a Penglai Sea Immortal Venerate helped Xie Changtian refine the medicinal pill that he used to extend his lifespan. This showed that this Xie Changtian had a deep relationship with the major characters of the Penglai Sea. However, Xiao Chen did not know if the Penglai Sea's people participated in the matter back then. Xiao Chen wanted to make a trip to the Penglai Sea. However, he did not know the right way and could not enter at all. Xiao Chen could only put this matter aside for now. However, putting it aside did not mean that Xiao Chen forgot about it. One day, he would charge into the Penglai Sea and drag Xie Changtian out. Xiao Chen would not let off anyone who participated in the sneak attack on the Thunder King back then. Revisiting an old place, Xiao Chen paused for a moment before preparing to leave. He wanted to go to the Oceanic world and enter the Mirage Immortal Palace, one of the 8 great forbidden lands, to search for the cycle arts. The Mirage Immortal Palace was the most mysterious forbidden land. Although it appeared during the Golden Age, it was still very difficult to enter. Just at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly thought of something. Not far from the Fiend domain bordering Hunluo Province, there was also a forbidden land called Misleading Fog Lake. Back then, Xiao Chen comprehended his will of thunder there. The divine lightning talisman there had left an incredibly deep impression on him. Coincidentally, his will of thunder had broken through the restrictions and reached the level of the innate thunder crystal. Compared to back then, the difference was like heaven and earth. Could he subdue it? If he could, this divine lightning talisman would be a trump card to deal with the Holy Lord or even a prime. The more Xiao Chen thought about it, the more likely it seemed. So, Xiao Chen changed his direction and headed for the forbidden land of the Fiend domain outside Hunluo Province, Misleading Fog Lake. While Xiao Chen was in the Fiend domain, the storm caused by the evil Shadow Sword also came to an end. The battle between the outstanding talents of the Kunlun realm and the 18 demon royal halls of the demonic world also came to an end. No one had expected the shadowless Saber Sovereign to suddenly appear and beat up the deity Dao Union and the demon crowned scions. Be it the demon crowned scions or the deity Dao Union's outstanding talents, they could not accept such a result. The stage that was originally prepared for them ended up being completely destroyed by the shadowless Saber Sovereign, who suddenly appeared. Furthermore, the destruction was so thorough, not playing by the rules, directly destroying the stage. The shattering of the ice sculpture and the appearance of the shadowless Saber Sovereign was even more dramatic, inconceivable. Although the storm had already come to an end, the lingering effects of this storm would not stop anytime soon. The deity Dao Union had already issued a kill order for the shadowless Saber Sovereign. After the divine son Di Wuk got knocked into the air with one saber strike, his prestige suffered significant damage. Some people already started to doubt whether the shadowless Saber Sovereign was the bearer of luck or not. Rumor had it that his power of faith had decreased by 30%. As for the celestial demon-crowned Cyan, who was believed to have obtained the evil shadow sword, he was in a difficult situation. It was easy to imagine that there would be a good show when he returned to the demonic world. However, these two were not the main characters. After the storm, another wave appeared in the Kunlun realm, a wave of people guessing who the shadowless Saber Sovereign was. In the past 3 years, the shadowless Saber Sovereign suddenly rose up. He did not touch a saber or leave a shadow, giving him a legendary air. Then he obtained the Saber Sovereign Medallion and beat up the deity Dao Union and the 18 demon-crowned Cyans, turning him into a mythical character. Who was the shadowless Saber Sovereign? From the Kunlun continent to the vast oceanic world. Be it the strong or the weak, they all discussed this topic, the mysterious shadowless Saber Sovereign. The more they talked about it, the messier it became. Between the truth and the lies, there were all sorts of guesses. However, no one connected this shadowless Saber Sovereign to the Blue Dragon King from 5 years ago. The Blue Dragon King, the white-robed Shaoqin, seemed to have disappeared in the dust of history, drowned out by the surging waves. No one talked about it, and no one was willing to mention it. There were even several people who rose up who had no impression of him at all. 4 days later, Shao Chun followed the route in his memory and arrived at Misleading Fog Lake. Misleading Fog Lake was a famous forbidden land in the Fiend domain. However, it was shrouded in fog. Even primes did not dare to enter it. Furthermore, no one knew what was in there. Over the years, everyone was willing to come here and risk their lives. The effort was not proportional to the gain, so it was reasonable to have such an outcome. Returning to his old place, Shao Qin could not help taking out the lunar shadow saber and fiddling with it as he sat on the throne. When Shao Chun first came, it was little Ao Jiao who led the way. Now he did not know when Ao Jiao would wake up. Or rather, when would Shao Chun remove his mask and walk out of the knot in his heart, letting the lunar shadow saber truly recognize him as the Blue Dragon King, Shao Qin, and not some shadowless Saber Sovereign? Memories always made one sigh. While Shao Qin cherished the past, he did not like to be sentimental. He was not willing to let these emotions linger for too long. After fiddling with it for a while, he put away the lunar shadow saber. With a thought, the innate thunder crystal on Shao Chen's forehead flew out. Shao Chen's innate thunder crystal still looked like a talisman, looking no different from before. However, when he held it in his hand, he could clearly feel that it was very different. This was a real thing, an object that truly existed in the world and not a talisman made of energy. The moment the talisman appeared, the lightning-attributed energy in the surrounding 50 kilometers started trembling for some reason. Sparks flickered endlessly in the air, crackling like they were bowing to the talisman. Shao Chen stretched out his hand and pointed. The lightning talisman entered the heavy fog above the lake. Shao Chen did not worry about getting lost. His talisman was a copy of the divine lightning at the bottom of the lake. There would always be an indistinct connection between the two. When Shao Chen arrived at the top of the lake, this feeling became even stronger and clearer. As long as he followed this feeling, he would be able to reach the center of the lake. After entering the depths of the lake, Shao Chen lost his 5 senses. Even his spiritual sense lost its function. What he thought was left was actually right. What he thought was left was actually right. What he thought was forward was actually backward. Even at his current cultivation, it could still affect his five senses. Xiao Chen's interest in the divine lightning at the center of the lake intensified. Whoosh! After some time, the scene before Xiao Chen suddenly changed, turning into a golden world. Not only was the lake water under his feet golden, but the surrounding air, the clouds, and the sky were also pure golden. Xiao Chen remembered that when he first came here, he could not open his eyes. They were dazzled. This time, he could calmly take in his surroundings. However, Xiao Chen did not look at that. He stared at the center of the lake, at that clump of golden electric light. This electric light contained the legendary divine lightning.